Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We're getting started in just a moment. Go ahead and share with your followers. And let's get as many people in the room as possible.
This is a Phwd production. I know you're all about it, but don't throw in the towel. Don't give up on yourself, it's too late in the hour. You gotta keep moving, you gotta keep pushing, you gotta keep walking, you gotta keep running. Don't give up, don't you give up. The race is not given to the swift or strong, but you gotta endure. Don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. The race is not given to the swift or strong, but you gotta endure. Don't be led by your senses like you hear, see, or feel. With the fixed determination, your dreams will reveal. And no more negative thoughts about yourself. Envision positive images. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. You gotta keep holding on. Don't give up to the swift or strong, but you gotta endure. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. The race is not given. The race is not given to the swift or strong, but you gotta endure. You gotta believe.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Something to Think About broadcast. I am your host, Apostle Aaron Randall. I'm also known as Ace in the business world. You are tuning in to the Something to Think About room. Tonight, we're doing our standard focus, which is the PHWD challenge, which stands for Purpose, Health, and Wealth Decade Challenge. When you pursue after your purpose, health, and wealth over the next decade, is going to shift the trajectory of your entire life, and not only just your life, but for generations to come. So for those of you who are on Clubhouse, just begin to ping people into the room. Those of you that are listening via Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, do the same. Begin to share it on your platforms. Let's get as many people in the room as possible, and let's have a good conversation tonight. For those of you that are here on Clubhouse and you're in the listening lounge, you are welcome to come up and to be a part of the conversation. I want you to be able to be engaged and be able to feel that you can, be a part of this conversation. It's not just hearing me talk tonight, but I want to get your perspective. I want to hear your experiences. I want to hear your insight, and add value to the room. For those of you that are new to this room, the PHWD challenge is something that I started back in pre-pandemic in the new year of 2020. Before anybody knew anything that was going on, God gave me this as a challenge focus regarding the purpose, health, and wealth. And unbeknownst to me, had no clue that there was going to be a pandemic that was going to challenge those very areas, purpose, health, and wealth. This migrated from being the purpose, health, and wealth, the PHWD challenge, then it migrated to being putting legs to your vision, which is, an addition to the PHWD challenge. But now I'm focusing back both on all the aspects of it, the purpose, the health, and the wealth. And so this room tonight is focused on part 3 of failures without attempts. And so I'm going to kind of dive into this and get more in depth into what that means in just a moment. But I just want to make you aware that if you did miss any of the previous rooms, you don't worry. The replays are available here on Clubhouse. And if they're not available on Clubhouse, you can go on my bio and you can see the my first YouTube channel there. You'll be able to see a lot of the previous rooms there on YouTube. And so some of them are cut at a certain point because I have a segment at the end of the room that's called Family Table Talk, and that's when we really get, we do get a little raw and in depth in the room. But it seems to be that when we do the Family Table Talk, it's like we can let our hair down. It's not, sometimes it's a lot of people in the room, sometimes it's not, and you're able to really just have that comfortable space to be able to ask questions, share if you need to get personal or what have you. And this is a safe space for you to be able to get that insight and that impartation that you need. And so this is a spiritual room. It's also a room that's just going to impact you with just word of wisdom so that you can apply these things to your life on a daily basis. I don't want to just give you, a high in the prophetic of a word and say God is going to do this, this, and this. But I also want to give you natural wisdom principles on how to execute what that word is and what God is speaking concerning your life in that regard. And so, again, this room tonight is focused on failure without attempts. Failure without attempts. Why is an S at the end of attempts? Failure without attempts, because sometimes you might make an attempt, but it might not come out to your fullest expectation. And so sometimes we give up, we throw in the towel, and some of us that are spiritual or prophetic in nature, we see the end result, and we believe sometimes that when we put our hands to something that we're doing, that our expectation is for it to come out perfect, straight out the gate, and sometimes that's not altogether true. And so, sometimes, as the world coins the phrase, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And that means that, you're going to need multiple attempts. It's not always going to come out perfect every time. I'll say this for somebody that is a cook or learning how to cook. You might make something and it might come out partly raw, or it might not be seasoned well. But if you keep trying at it and you keep, tweaking it a bit, you put it to your taste and to your flavor and your standards, then it comes out to being something that a lot of people start to love. It becomes your signature dish, but you begin to work at it, you begin to tweak it, you begin to make it better. And so that's what happens, when you make attempts, when you continue on in your attempts, you begin to have more success in what it is that you're doing. So this is the reason why this room is, because failure without attempt. Sometimes we deem ourselves failures without even making an attempt, or sometimes we do make a one or two attempts and then we think that we failed, but you haven't put in enough sweat equity, enough work ethic into it to deem yourself a failure. And so failure without attempts breeds a multitude of things. So let me kind of recap over some things that we talked about over the last few weeks. Failure without attempts activates self-sabotage. If you have an issue with self-sabotage and sabotage within yourself, it's because you're not making the necessary attempts to accomplish what it is that you're meant to be in life, or accomplish, concerning your purpose, health, and wealth. So this is very significant that sometimes it adds to your failure to make attempts. It's because you find a way to self-sabotage yourself. Oh, okay, well, maybe, I want to do it. This is what I want to do, but, maybe I don't have enough money. Maybe my credit is not right. Or maybe, I don't have enough knowledge or wisdom. Maybe I need to go back to school, but I don't have enough time to go back to school. It's like you're always finding an excuse to self-sabotage what it is that you are meant to do, be, or accomplish. And if you don't deal with that self-sabotage within yourself, it will be destructive to your purpose, health, and wealth. The second one we talked about, failure without attempts, increases the spirit of fear. The spirit of fear will prevent you from making attempts to do anything. You get, fearful, fearful of the unknown, fearful of success, fearful of, notoriety, failure of, actually accomplishing it, but then don't know how to grow it or expand it or multiply it. So failure without attempts increases the spirit of fear. It ignites it, it enlarges it in you, because that is one of the reasons why you won't make the necessary attempts to make moves. So the second one, again, failure without attempts, it increases the spirit of fear. And you can write these things down, because these are some things that I would encourage you to search out within yourself to see why you might struggle with failure to make attempts in your life. So again, failure without attempts activates self-sabotage. Failure without attempts increases the spirit of fear. The third one, failure without attempts produces laziness. It literally, it finds a way to, laziness is a thing that will literally eclipse your attempt making. Not putting off for tomorrow what you can do today. Not being as driven and motivated to really go after, your purpose, or living a healthier life, or creating wealth. These are things that are purpose killers. It is health killers. It is wealth killers. It is laziness. Also coupled with that is procrastination. So failure without attempts enlarges procrastination. You might have started, but you put it off. That, okay, well, I'm gonna do a little bit here and a little bit there. You move at snail pace. You move at it's just like you won't put the full energy into what it is that you want to do. So you procrastinate. You say what you want to do, but then your actions don't meet what you speak. So procrastination is one that will cause you to have attempts and failure to attempt. So this is important. So you want to write this down and search that within yourself to find out if procrastination and laziness is a factor in causing you not to make attempts to move forward or to advance in your life. Failure without attempts motivates doubt. It causes you to not really have faith, not really believe that you can accomplish it. You start to look at yourself and begin to nitpick things and not believe in your capabilities and your talents and your what it is that you have the ability to do it. So failure without attempts motivates doubt. It not only doubt within yourself, doubt within people that you meant to connect to, doubt within your relationship with God, telling you that you're made and qualified and ready for this, and you begin to doubt yourself, what people are saying, what God is saying about you. So this is important. So you want to search yourself for doubt that is keeping you from making attempts. Failure without attempts also kills potential relationships. How does it kill potential relationships? Is because if you are it kills it in multiple ways. If you're dealing with trust issues, if you're dealing with, always waiting for the other shoe to drop, you always thinking that somebody's out to get you, or they got a motive or an agenda, but actually embracing those relationships, that's one way that it kills it. Coupled with laziness and procrastination, if you don't make a move or make an attempt to start or to do or to accomplish what the objectives are, the necessary relationships that you're meant to meet for that won't happen. I gave an example about how Panera Bread was like my second office. I can go to Panera Bread, set up my MacBook, sit there and work the whole entire day. I could be there from 10 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock in the evening, not with no worries, because I will be in a zone, and I will also be able to network and meet a lot of people. And one time I went to Panera Bread off of 95th and Western in Chicago, and I end up meeting somebody that invited me to a red carpet event, and I end up meeting former NBA players. I end up meeting entertainment attorneys, and I end up meeting potential investors and all this, that happened. But what would have happened if I stayed home? If I would have stayed home, if I would have just, put off for another time, I would have missed that opportunity. So again, sometimes a failure without attempts and what it is that you're focused on will kill potential relationships. Not only will it kill potential relationships, but it also will block future partnerships. Partnerships and relationships are not always in the exact context. Partnerships from this perspective is people that either you're meant to come along to help them to execute their vision or their purpose, or ones that's meant to come along with you to help you execute your purpose. If you don't make the necessary attempts, then partnerships can't be made because you have not made any attempts in that. If you're trying to build a business and you're trying to find a venture capitalist or an investor to be a part of it, but you haven't even started it, you haven't written the vision, you haven't even tried to work out the plan, then people cannot come alongside to invest in what it is that you are thinking. See, well, if you was a part of the Put Legs to Your Vision, one of the first things in that course that we were talking about was, what is the vision? Assessing what those visions are. It's either prophetic words, promises of God, dreams, destinies, goals of yourself that you want to accomplish. These are things that is considered vision. But if they're stuck in your head and you don't take them out of your head and begin to write them down, and not only just write them down, because sometimes we'll just write it down and just put it on the shelf. But now you got to begin to work after. You got to make attempts. You got to begin to research. You got to begin to, make subtle steps based on your ability, your knowledge, and your understanding and your research to make that happen. But if you don't do the essential first works, then nobody can come along to help you. The word of God says clearly, write the vision and make it plain that he that reads it can run. If it's in your head, it can change at will, like this. Well, I wanted to be pink and purple. No, I wanted to be yellow and gold. No, I wanted to be this size. Nope, I wanted to be smaller. I was thinking about doing it, doing a small little bistro size. Well, no, I'm going to do a mega size. Well, no, so it's like you're schizophrenic and you don't have it solidified. And when you write it down and you begin to execute it as a plan, or a plan of action, or a blueprint, or a business plan, now somebody can come along with you and help you with your attempts process. They can help you execute what it is that you're meant to do in those partnerships. And so again, failure without attempts blocks future partnerships. If you don't attempt to do it, you won't even meet the necessary people that can partner with you to help you execute it. The last one, what we talked about last week, which we really got stuck on, and I feel like these rooms have been a lot of healing and deliverance for people lately. For the last a month and a half with the rooms or what have you. But the last one we talked about was failure without attempts confirms lack of confidence. It confirms the lack of confidence. You don't have confidence in yourself to believe that you can do, because you don't know who you are. You don't know what these hidden talents or treasures is hidden in earthen vessels. You haven't even reached in to dig them out or the gifts and abilities that you have that can generate you income, or that's connected to your purpose, or that are a part of your passions and things that you love to do. But if you don't believe that you have the ability to do it, then you're not going to execute it. That's like somebody telling you every day, oh, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful. But if you have low self-esteem about yourself and you say that you're ugly, or that you're not attractive, or that you're fat, or you too skinny, or you're this, I'm too dark, or I'm too light, whatever it is, it doesn't matter whatever the person says, even if they're speaking the oracles of God prophetically into your life. If you keep believing the lie and you're not confident in yourself, the lie is what people have said, saying that you weren't worthy, saying that you weren't qualified, saying you weren't anointed, saying that all these negatives about you. And you have not come into identity between you and your relationship with God, and you have lack of confidence in yourself, then that also is going to cause you to have failure to make attempts. You have to have confidence in yourself. And so that was the last thing that we talked about. I had to pause there because like I said, I felt like that was a subject matter that needed to be really focused more on. because of the sensitive nature of that. Because it's just interesting how you just never know how many people that really don't have confidence in themselves. They don't feel that they can really execute or have the ability, so they just choose not to even make an attempt at all, not even try, because of that lack of confidence. And so, that's something that is going to be a work. That's something that is a work and a healing process that has to happen between you and the Father, because regardless of what anybody else says to you, until you believe it, until you accept it and embrace it and understand that this is who God made you to be, that you are beautifully and wonderfully made, that He has ordained you before the foundations of the earth. He is who He's called. He's justified. He's justified. He's glorified. If God before you, He's more than the world against you. And so, if you understand that, and you know that you're joint heirs with Jesus Christ, and you know that He's given you a measure of gift and talent, and you know that He has marked you with purpose, then there is nothing that can stop you. There is nothing that will keep you from making the necessary moves that you need to make to execute what it is that you need to happen in your life. But if you lack confidence in yourself, or even lack identity, then you can't move in dominion, power, and authority. I talked about this also last week, because it was connected to a men's conference that I had to speak at 2 weeks ago. And I was one of the keynote speakers, and my focus was men or kings walking in power, dominion, and authority. And so, of course, I'm not even going to just limit it to men, but us as the kingdom of God. Not being able to move in dominion, power, and authority is because it's multiple things. One, we don't know who we are. We don't know what our assignment is, the vision or destiny, or vision or assignment, or we don't know what our purpose is. And if we don't know these things, then, or we don't believe that these are a part of us, then you're going to lack confidence. And that's something, again, that is something that is a walk between you and God. Maybe you might have to get counselors involved to really kind of dig into the root of where that came from. Who was the one, who was the one that told you that you couldn't do it? Who was the one that didn't motivate you, that you felt like, okay, well, I didn't get the motivation I need from friends, from family. I didn't really get the backing or support. But will you do it? Even if you don't get the love and the support, if you don't get validation from men, but if you know that you have a relationship with God, will you continue pursuing forward regardless of what man has to say? Sometimes we put all of our trust in man instead of all of our trust in God. He's been telling you, this and this and about yourself, and revealing to you. He's been releasing prophetic voices into your life to unveil to you that you're called for a time such as this, that He has marked you with purpose and all this stuff, but yet you're still waiting on man, which is the one that failed you in the first place, because most of those people were the ones that was telling you that you weren't worthy and qualified. You weren't anointed enough. You got to wait until I deem you worthy and qualified. But when God, which is the one that created you, identifies you through your relationship with Him and unveils to you, this is what I've called you to. I called you to be a prophet of God. I called you to be a pastor, a leader. I called you to build that business. I called you to go to the nations. I called you to be this administrator. I called you to be this executive at this for this Fortune 500 company, or whatever it is. If God said it, why do you question? And so there's a lack of trust between you and the Father. And so so these are some things that even you have to dig within yourself to find out, God, why is it that I have lack of confidence within myself? God, and begin to open yourself up and submit to God and allow Him to take you through the healing and the deliverance process that you need so that you can advance forward in your life without dealing with confidence issues, dealing with low self-esteem issues within yourself. Begin to recite to yourself, even if you got to make declarations. Even look at what what's her name? Mary J. Blige. She wakes up every morning to herself and say, "Good morning, gorgeous." This is what, or hello, gorgeous. That's what she speaks to herself, because she didn't believe it at some point in time. But she had to change her mindset and begin to shift her perspective and begin to say, no, I am beautiful, regardless of whatever else somebody said. I am, beautifully and wonderfully made. I am anointed. I am called for this. I am made for this. And sometimes you have to speak it into existence, into your own self. You got to begin to have declarations and have, what do they call it? Decreeing it and declaring it over your life, and just have these words of motivation that you say about
affirmations.
Yourself. Say that again, Prophetess.
Affirmations.
Affirmations. Thank you. These affirmations about yourself, and decree it, because what you speak manifests. Out of, even though it might not come out of your heart yet, but you begin to speak it into existence. You begin to speak that thing that I am created for this. I am ready for this. But if you don't, you will be in this constant state of failure without attempts. You won't even make moves on even doing some of the simplest things. And it will confine you to a box of comfortability. So the next one that I'm going to talk about tonight, or what we're talking about, with failure without attempts, drive unwillingness to take risks. So this is kind of in connection to a few of these others. Not being willing to take a risk because of fear of the unknown, fear of what it's going to look like. Some of us, we feel like we have to have every detail. And got to analyze it, got to put our opinion in it, you got to put our perspective in it in order for us to obey God. What does it look like? Okay, well, where do I got to move to? Okay, you want me to move here? You want me to do this? You want me to start this business? Okay, well, you need to show me what I need to do. Well, I don't know what to do. But if the word of God says, if any man lacks wisdom, ask of the Lord. He gives it liberally. Look at Abram, how he had to leave his country, his family, and his father's house. And God was taking him to a place. It never gave him details of where he was going, but he gave him details in the go. For those of you that are not familiar with me saying this before, God is the GPS, but the assignment or the destiny or the purpose that you're meant to fulfill is what you put into the GPS. But the GPS does not give you any instructions on where to go until you begin to move. When you get in your car and you begin to move in a direction, it's going to tell you the right way to go. He's going to lead you and guide you in all truths. But when you're staying at home, comfortable in your bed, God is not leading you in a direction because you're not in a place of momentum. You have to make the conscious decision to make a move. You got to make a conscious decision to take a risk. I talked about in one of my rooms with the putting legs to your vision. I talked about willing to take a leap. And I put a post up about something to think about, showing a person jumping out of this airplane. And I explained how, when you are exhilarated and you're excited and you're scared all at the same time, and you paid this $300, $400, $500 to go and jump out this plane. And so you are going up, getting on the plane, you're getting nervous, you're exhilarated and all that, but then you get higher and higher up in the sky, and then you begin to get this trepidation, you begin to get this fear that comes over you, and then you like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to go ahead and go back down with the plane. But then they're telling you, are you ready? We're going to get in position, and they hook you into the harness with the person that is showing you how to skydive, so that you have somebody that is experienced with you, that knows what to do in the midst of a crisis or in the midst of a situation, so that you're not scared to do this alone. And so they put you on the edge of the plane with the door open, and you see this open sky in front of you, and now you're even more scared, getting ready to pee on yourself, because you like, what was I thinking? And they say, well, we getting ready to drop in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then they push you forcefully out of this plane, and you are screaming to the top of your lungs. I know some of y'all heard me talk about this. I did this when I was doing zip lining. But you, at some point, just like what I did, you come to yourself and you begin to realize, like, I'm out here now. I might as well enjoy the moment. I might as well enjoy this experience and just, zip around the sky and fly around like Superman and do some of the things that you wanted to do as a kid, and you're able to do it now, jumping out of this plane and having this exhilarating experience. And then you thinking that you're getting ready to die and all this stuff, and your parachute is not coming out at a certain time, but then not realizing there was always a backup parachute attached. But here was a significant thing about that story, is that you had to be willing to take a risk. You had to take a leap of faith to trust, to see. You don't even know if you will succeed. You don't even know if you will succeed. You might just fall to your death. You might fall and break your leg or whatever might happen. But here's the thing: you still took a risk. I heard something, matter of fact, very profound, and it's very prophetic because I didn't even realize that it was connected to this room today. That I was listening to somebody and they was talking about the thing that you dread when you are on your deathbed is that you didn't take more risks. That you didn't take more risk, that you didn't try something different, and that you've allowed time to get better of you, and that you was not willing to take a risk. This is really important to being able to pursue after your purpose, health, and wealth, because you might have to take risks. What if God is saying, okay, you can't eat meat anymore, you need to go vegan, but when you see vegan food, to you visually, it doesn't look appetizing. But until you try it, you don't even know. It might be good. I was vegan for a period of time, and I saw these chips. They were black bean chips, and from the looks of it, from the smell of it, they looked disgusting. But when I tasted it, I was automatically hooked. I mean, addicted. I mean, they were that good. Black bean nacho cheddar chips, and they were vegan product. And I got them. I think I got them from not Trader Joe's, either Whole Foods or another organic store. But I tried them, and I took a risk, and I instantly loved them. Instantly. That when I go back vegan or vegetarian, that is definitely on the list of food or snacks that I want to buy. Also, too, I was like, tofu doesn't sound all that appetizing. I'm not for that. I want a hot food bar and a mom and pop, like organic food grocery here in Georgia. They fortunately closed down, but they had like a hot food bar, and they had breakfast there, and it was like a tofu scramble, or what have you, that resembled eggs. When I tasted it, it tasted just like eggs, because tofu pretty much takes on the flavor of whatever it is that you cook. But based on my assumptions will get the better of you. That I was like, I don't know. I killed that whole entire plate. It was that good. Or like eggplant parmesan. I don't know. That don't. I'm used to meat. I'm not sure. I killed it. Because for me, it just didn't look appetizing the way it looked on the bar. But when I tried it, it baffled me. And so sometimes, we get locked into something because we don't have the willingness to take risks. To build a business is risky. To pursue your purpose is risky. Everything that you do is a risk. But here's the thing: to us is the unknown. Right? And stepping into the unknown. If you ever seen, if you got kids or you got grandchildren or you've been around enough kids, a lot of kids they love the movie Frozen. And Frozen 2, I got so much revelation out of it. And there is a key song on there that's entitled Into the Unknown. Matter of fact, I'm going to look up those lyrics while I'm in front of my computer. And the song was really significant to the whole storyline of the movie. Let me see. There we go. It auto typed in because I know I looked into this. I looked into this before. I said, so here's the lyrics of the song. Can you hear me? But I won't. Some look for trouble while others don't. There's thousands of reasons I should go about my day and ignore your whispers, which I wish would go away. Oh, And then the second verse is, you're not a voice, you're just a ringing in my ear. And if I heard you, which I don't, I'm spoken for. I fear. Everyone, everyone I've ever loved is here within these walls. I'm sorry, secret siren, but I'm blocking out your calls. I've had my adventure. I don't need something new. I'm afraid of what I'm risking if I follow you into the unknown. Into the unknown, into the unknown. The second verse of that song is even more significant. What do you want? Because you have been keeping me awake. Are you here to distract me so I make a big mistake, or are you someone out there who's a little bit like me? Who knows deep down I'm not where I'm meant to be. Every day is a little harder as I feel my power grow. Don't you know that's a part of me that's longing to go into the unknown? So the significance of this song is that it's a person that is wrestling within themselves of hearing a voice is drawing them into the unknown. That's drawing them to something that they desire, but they want to stay comfortable around the walls of where my family is or what I'm familiar with. But I know you know something about me. That's why it's like a siren in my ears. You're calling for me. You know, you're drawing me forward, but into the unknown. But I'm so comfortable being here that I'm afraid. I've already had adventures in my life. I've already had failure to make attempts in my life. I've had these different issues or what have you, but it's still something in me that's still lingering towards this voice. And see, here's the thing about that, though. What that is for you individually is God wooing you to tell you that I've called you to something greater, but it's in the unknown for you. But here's the thing. It's not the unknown to God. It's unknown to you because you don't know all the details, but it's not unknown to God because he knows the end before the beginning. He is establishes before the foundations of the earth. He knows the way that you should take, and he knows all these things. He already prepares the way for you. And so when you know this, you know that he won't lead you to destruction. He won't lead you to a ditch. Then that should give you ease to be able to take risk into the unknown, to be able to trust God in the direction of where he's trying to take you for your life, because he's trying to advance you forward. He's trying to advance you into the place of purpose, health, and wealth, or your destiny, of what he's called you to. And you cannot allow, not being willing to take a risk to be a factor in your life to make attempts. You can't. So you got to begin to kill that fear, that spirit of fear, because that's what it's rooted in. It's rooted in fear of knowing what's on the other side of this. And here's the thing that I want to guarantee you. I guarantee you it's better than what you're dealing with right now. I guarantee you it's more abundant than what it is that you're experiencing right now. I guarantee you that his promises that he has for you is on the other side of this. I guarantee you that it's going to be a lot more successful of what you're dealing with right now. But because you don't know, it's like, I don't want to take a risk. But here's the thing. Here's where I want to challenge you at with this. For those of you that are listening on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and even on the replays, here's where I want to challenge you at. When you go and apply for a job that you ain't worked for, you see they pay. So you will go and apply for it and take a risk and see if you get that job, won't you? Or you know your credit ain't all that great, but you might go take a risk and go to a car lot because they got to advertise all on the radio that you could get this car for no money down, and you got good credit, bad credit, or whatever. We can finance you here, all this stuff, and you will go and take a risk to go do that. You're even gonna take a risk and sit in a chair and not know if it's gonna hold you up. You will take a risk and go and eat food at a restaurant not knowing if you're going to get food poisoning from it or get a food allergy from it because you're willing to take a risk. But why is it that you struggle with taking risk with something to advance you in your life and in your purpose? Or doing or obeying what God told you to do when you take risk every day? You take a risk every day when you get in your car or take public transit to get to work or to get to your destination, and not worry that you're going to get robbed, that you're going to get COVID, that you're going to get in a car accident, because you're willing to take a risk. But is it only applied to the things that are for the betterment of your life? Is it only applied to what God has spoken over your life? Or is it only applied to something that is something that you have never dreamed to attain for yourself? That is something that you got to search within yourself, because these questions about the failure to attempts is literally meant for you to search yourself. I can't answer this question for you. You have to answer this question for yourself, to begin to search yourself. Why am I scared to take a risk? Why am I scared to launch out into the deep? Why am I scared to move in the unknown when I know God got me? When God got this all under control. That he would never leave me to destruction. He would never leave me to a ditch. He would never leave me nor forsake me. So if I know this, and that he's not a man that he should not lie, then why am I even concerned about taking risks? Matter of fact, it's not even taking a risk. It's actually moving in obedience. Oops, I know that was a slap, right? Because it's not taking a risk when you obeying God. You're literally moving in obedience and what he said. And when you move in disobedience, it's like the seed of witchcraft, because you're under a spirit of rebellion. And so in that, you might have to repent, because God is telling you, no, you're rebelling against what I said, because you're allowing fear. That's why I gave you power, love, and a sound mind to counteract the one, which is fear, so that you trust me. So failure without attempts drives the unwillingness to take a risk. This is really important that you kill within your life, because if you don't kill it, because it's rooted in fear, you won't make moves, and you'll just stay comfortable where you are. You will be almost an essence of what happens with hoarders. What happens with hoarders are they hoard things and they don't throw things away, but it becomes a comfort blanket for them. It becomes a place of security, and sometimes they will literally lash out when you move something or break something or something gets out of whack, because they feel secluded, almost like being under one of those weighted blankets. It gives that security for them. And so they get confined into this space and not willing to break out. If anybody's seen the TV show Hoarders, what happens 9 times out of 10 with an individual that is dealing with a spirit connected to hoarding? They become emotional. They have nervous breakdowns. They have all these mental traumas that happen, and they lose their mind, because you are taking them out of their comfort zone. That's what moving in the unknown does, is because it pulls you out of your comfortability, out of your comfort zone, because you're so used to moving in a certain way. But here's the thing, and I read this in the book, which is actually a part of our book club in this room, which is Think and Grow Rich. He said, not Think and Grow Rich, I'm sorry, The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. He said, what you have done in your life has gotten you to this place and to this point in your journey. And some of you feel like you can't even get any further than this. And that's the point of you reading the book, is what he was saying, is because you realize that you've only gotten yourself so far. Same thing for you, some of you in this room. You've gotten yourself so far, and this is why you're in this room, because it is to motivate you that to advance to the next place is going to require you to take a risk. To take a risk. Maybe you have to relocate. Maybe you do have to start that business. Maybe you have to launch out and to go back to school, or to start that ministry, or to do what it is that he's called you to do. But you have to be willing to take a risk. So this is important. So again, failure without attempts drives the unwillingness to take a risk. Next one is failure without attempts fuels stagnation. also still all included. It fuels the stagnation. You might be moving, but you're slowing down. You're slowful or you're slothful. Like sloths, they move at a slow pace and a slow like snail pace. Now, here's the thing. Even though you're moving, that's momentum. That's good if you're building to something and you're building momentum and you're learning at a pace and you're getting it as you go and you're building stride. That's in the beginning. But if you've been doing this thing for 15 years, 5 years, 20 years, and you are still moving at a slow pace, there's something wrong with that. Would doctors look at a baby that is grown from being a baby to being 12 years old and still crawling on the ground like a baby that has full function of their limbs? Would they not look and think that there's a problem? That a grown person is crawling on the floor with a bib and with a diaper on and a binky in their mouth? Doesn't that look off? And so that's what happens. It causes underdevelopment because you are in a stagnation. You're moving slow. You're not moving in momentum because, again, there's fear to move fast. If I move fast, or, the word of God says, be anxious for nothing. Yes, that's being anxious. There's a difference, but that doesn't mean that you have to move at a slow pace. It doesn't mean that you have to move at rapid speed like Sonic the Hedgehog, but you got to begin to move at a place that is building momentum, that is building a thrust, and not just staying at 2 miles an hour. So if you a failure to make attempts, it fuels that stagnation. It keeps you in this low momentum. It keeps you in slow progress. And when you begin to look at your productivity, this is something that I do within myself. When I'm building something, I'm working on something. I'll go without looking for so long, so I can kind of like get into a mode and a flow, and I'll just put my all into it. And at some point, I'll go back and examine my progress to see how far I've come. And I'm like, man, you know what? You've done a whole lot more than you thought that you did, or I haven't done enough, but now I need to regroup. Nothing wrong with regrouping. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're at a stagnant place and you're moving at a snail pace, you always stay closer to the start line than being closer to the finish. So these are things that you want to consider. Why am I stagnant? Why am I moving slow? Well, what is the reason? Some of it might not be rooted in fear. Some of it for you might be, I don't have the money. I don't have, the resources. I don't have the knowledge of what it is or what have you. But here's the thing, that once you analyze what that is, there is a rebuttal for all of it. If anybody has ever been in sales in any capacity, even in customer service for retention versus a call center or what have you, you always have to have a rebuttal for a customer that either doesn't want to stay with the company or that doesn't want what you're selling. You got to always have a rebuttal. And yeah, they still have to make the decision, but you always got to have a rebuttal to be able to lure them onto your side to buy what it is that you're selling. It's no different than ministry. We always got to have a rebuttal for those who say, no, I'm not ready. But then you minister to them to give them a rebuttal, not a spear tactic, but a rebuttal that say, well, how's your life now? Is it where you want to be? And you're able to talk to people in a way that you're able to lure them in. Same thing with this stagnation. If you come to me and tell me the reasons why you are stagnant, I'm going to have several rebuttals for you of what will kill that stagnation. That will kill that lack of momentum in your life, or the lack of focus, or that lack of unwillingness to take a risk, or the lack of confidence within yourself, or what have you. There's always going to be a rebuttal to help you to get on track. And so I want to encourage you with that. If you are struggling in stagnation in your life, or laziness or procrastination, begin to search that out. Where did this come from? Where is this rooted in? Is this something that you've seen, growing up, or what have you? I've seen some things growing up that is the thing that fuels me to say, no, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to live like that. Nope. When people call me, every time they call me, They're like, what you doing? I was like, they'll answer before I do. Let me guess, you working, right? I was like, yep, you know me well. That's all. That's what I do. Work, 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 because I have a goal and objective in mind. But if you have stagnation that is a factor or issue, let me put it to you like this. If you have stagnation and your purpose or your goals in mind that you're meant to achieve represent a 100-car freight train. If you're going at 2 miles an hour and you have to pull all of that load from San Diego, California, which is the lower point of California, all the way up to Maine, the state of Maine. That's all the way on the East Coast, all the way at the northern tip. How long is it going to take you at 2 miles an hour to get there? How many days, how many weeks, how many months, how many years is it going to take you at 2 miles an hour to carry this load? You might not even get 2 blocks within a year. Because because based on the miles an hour that you're driving, coupled with the weight that you carry, it moves even slower because you have to push yourself above the limit so that you be at the normal speed because of the amount of weight that you carry. And so that's what I'm saying about your purpose. If you're moving at 2 miles an hour and your purpose is heavily weighted, and you are not moving in momentum, you're moving at slow pace, you're not going to get to the finish line. You're not going to get to the place of promise. You're not going to get to your Canaan because you are moving at a slow pace because of stagnation. These are things that you have to kill within yourself because they will keep you from making the proper attempts in your life. 2 last ones, and I'm going to open it up to the room. Failure without attempts also locks the spirit of rebellion. And it unlocks the spirit of rebellion because, like I said earlier, you won't obey God. You'll delay. You will procrastinate. You'll be stagnant. You will have doubt. You'll have laziness. You'll have procrastination, and unlocks that spirit in you, which is the seed of witchcraft. And then you'll wonder why things are not happening progressively in your life. Is because you're functioning in that sense like a witch, because you're not moving in obedience. Obedience is better than sacrifice. And then you'll realize that what you sacrifice is nothing in comparison to what he's giving you in return. Even when he restores the years that the cankerworm and the palmer worm and the locust have devoured up, you will realize that you have lost nothing. You've gained so much more than what you lost. He'll redeem the time. He'll as a church will say, he'll give you double for your trouble. He'll do all those things. He'll do exceedingly abundantly above all you can ever ask or think. But when you are in a place of rebellion because you fail to make attempts in obedience to what it is that he said, you are literally moving in direct rebellion against God. So these are the things that you got to search within yourself. God, why am I constantly rebelling against what you said? What the prophets have said, what you've spoken to me directly, what is even rebelling against myself with self-sabotage. What is it? Where is this coming from? And he'll begin to reveal fear, what people said to you, and the list goes on. And then when you submit to that and say, God, heal these areas, because if you don't, these will hinder me and where you're trying to take me next. So that's another thing. Failure without attempts unlocks or even emphasizes that spirit of rebellion. And lastly, failure without attempts makes you comfortable staying in an uncomfortable place. I mentioned this earlier about that fear and the doubt and unwilling to take a risk about the hoarder, that you stay comfortable being uncomfortable. You know you hate the situation that you in. You know you hate it. You hate that job. You hate I know hate is a strong word, but it's at that level. But because of you've adjusted yourself to the chaos, that you know how to function in dysfunction, that you'll rather stay comfortable being uncomfortable than being uncomfortable to find comfort. Being uncomfortable to find comfort is to pack up a house that is full of a whole bunch of stuff, and you know you got to move into a new one. Oh, I hate packing. Oh, I got to move. I got to lug all this stuff into a new place. But when you get there and you see that it's more beautiful, it's a better neighborhood, it's more square footage, you know, it's what you desired, you know, you'll be okay with being uncomfortable to get to comfort. But we'll do the opposite. We'll be comfortable staying uncomfortable because we don't want to deal with the workload or the responsibility or, you know, what it opens up or unlocks for us, so that we got to be a good steward over something greater. We have these issues. And so if you are used to staying comfortable, being uncomfortable, that is going to cause you to stay in a place of not making attempts in your life. You're not going to make the necessary attempt to find where comfort is, to find where the purpose is, or find your Canaan. And so I'm encouraging you to look within yourself to say, look, God, kill this mindset of being comfortable in an uncomfortable state when you're trying to move me. You have done just like you did with the children of Israel, saying that you have camped around this mountain long enough. You have literally set up residence, built a brick and mortar home around a place that was meant for a tent. It was meant to be a temporary place to rest, to eat, to pack up, and to move on. He said, the word of God says that you camped around this mountain long enough. It's time to break camp and to move on. And the next word after that says go. And it says to go, and it talks about going into Canaan. And it's talking about to go to your place of promise. But you have to begin to move. But we begin to set up a resting place and a stop sign. And then we're wondering why all these people blowing a horn behind us telling you to go, go, go. Come on, woman of God, go, go, go. Come on, man of God, go, go, go. But you've gotten comfortable staying stuck here at a stop sign when you was only supposed to yield it. You're supposed to stop temporarily, look both ways, see if anybody's coming, and begin to merge forward into your progression. But we have literally gotten comfortable being in an uncomfortable place. And so we adjust. We can stuff that don't even fit right and don't work right. We'll make it work. I hate it. I don't like it, but I'm gonna make it work. An old, dusty, stanky, funky couch. You will throw a cover over it and spray it down with Febreze instead of throwing the thing out, because you don't want to have the uncomfortability to throw this thing out because it's work. You get what I mean? These are things that you have to search within yourself. God, why is it that I'm comfortable being in an uncomfortable state? Some of it is the churches that you have belonged to, the leaders that you're connected to. They have been beating and bruising you from top to bottom, talking about you like a dog, insulting you, openly rebuking you, doing all this, and you are willing to stay comfortable being in an uncomfortable place because you're sitting there, well, God, I'm waiting on a sign. When is my exodus? When is it time for me to leave? When he showed you that chaos in the beginning. But we decide that we're going to sit and we're going to stay being uncomfortable because they the man and the woman of God, because it's the church, and and this is where I got saved and all this. And we talked about this Wednesday about the church. And if you missed it, that was an excellent room. It's available on the replay, but go back and take a look at that room. But we stay stuck being comfortable in an uncomfortable place. And when you're stuck being uncomfortable in a uncomfortable place, you will have failure to make attempts in your life. So just to recap really quick and to reset the room, you are in Something to Think About room. I'm your host, Apostle Aaron Randall. I'm also known as Ace in the business world. And you are in the PHWD Challenge room. And what our focus tonight is talking about failure without attempts. And so we went over a list of things of what that causes to happen in your life. Failure without attempts activates self-sabotage, increases the spirit of fear, produces laziness, enlarges procrastination, motivates doubt, kills potential relationships, blocks future partnerships, confirms the lack of confidence within yourself, drives the unwillingness to take a risk, fuels stagnation, unlocks the spirit of rebellion, and makes you stay comfortable being in an uncomfortable place. Now, I know I've said a lot, but I want to open this up to the room for discussion, as I always do, because it's always about dialogue and us engaging in conversation. And so it's going to be popcorn style, as I always do. And you are you're willing to unmic. You are welcome to share. So anybody want to jump in?
Hey, Apostle. So I definitely am listening to everything that you're saying. It's definitely speaking to where I am currently. I think I shared before about one of the things that I knew I was gonna have to do in order to really step out and what God has prepared me to do and what He's called me to was with in the areas of education. So I thought I knew what vein that would be in, and I guess without trying to go into the whole thing and making this too long, basically the Lord showed me today that while yes, I'll be pursuing a higher level of education, and it will be in the field that I'm used to. Well, the field that I don't want to say that I'm comfortable with, because you just talked about being comfortable, but it's the area that I know that I'm graced in, but it's in it's like I'm still being stretched even in that area, if that makes sense. It's like I'm familiar, but there's like another place in it that I kind of hadn't looked at, and I just was like, oh no, I'm not going to pursue it on that level. I'm just going to do it over here. And that was kind of brought it back around full circle. And it's like I have no choice but to say yes to it when the opportunity presents itself. And literally right before I got on here to listen to you, I was kind of fighting with it like, I'm like, Lord, I don't want to do that. I mean, I was good going to school and stuff, but I thought we were going to go build. Like, we're going to put me over here. And I know I'm not saying much, there's a lot to explain, but like, then you said what you said, I said, well, I definitely want to be in rebellion. So, Apostle gave me my low-key rebuke. Take it for what it is. But I'm thankful for this room, for this information that you just continue to pour out and share with us. It definitely helps me with where I am and what I'm doing, and just being obedient to the purpose of God. So thank God for you, Apostle Wayne. I yield the mic.
God be glorified. Indeed. Sometimes God knows how to get us right when we need it. Why when you think you're gonna let that slide? Nope. He know how to reel you right on in. Or when you getting ready to get off focus, or the things that I was going over that was going to keep you locked into an uncomfortable place, he knows how to grip you. He knows how to get you what you need right when you need it. He does it to me all the time. It's like I can't escape it, but that's how you know when you are on the right track and the right trajectory, and you are not in your own will, but you're actually in God's will, is that He won't even allow you to self-sabotage. Some of these things that's going on has governed so much in your life that it prevents prevents things from happening or your obedience. But once you start getting into a place of momentum, and then you start to lax off, then God is like, nope, you already making momentum into this. You already on the right track. I'm not even going to allow you to self-sabotage. I'm not even going to allow you to allow laziness or procrastination to be a factor. And right when you you about to go and lay down and get comfortable, you scroll up on your phone, looking on your phone, and boom, there goes something that motivates you. You back up sitting back in front of your computer. Or you back up working on that book, or back up, working, doing that homework and whatever it is that you're working on, because He's invested too much in you. He's invested too much in you. And God is the master investor. He wants a return on His investment. And what He has sown into you, He wants you to bring Him back double or triple or whatever it is, because He's invested so much in you. So yeah, this is really, really good. That God will literally, right, when you, like she said, right, when you in a moment like contemplating something, He always gonna bring an answer, especially when you in the right trajectory. So I just wanted to just add that. Anybody else want to jump in?
Yeah, so thanks for inviting me to the room.
Indeed.
So I need to be rebuked.
Oh Lord.
I need to be set free.
I need to be poured. I need to say some oil poured on me and all that. Hands laid in the whole nine. I'll be the one that was going around. That is going around the mountain. I'm actually divorced like 8 months now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just ridiculous. I'm still staying in the house with my ex-wife, and she's clearly shown me that she's moved on. I mean, she just do things right in front of my face. But the thing, what I'm saying is I'm still staying in the house, and I haven't moved out yet. I can't lie. I've had the money to move out. I just paid some things and bought some things and didn't take care of what I had to take care of. And this talk right here has really made me see, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, God has really made this situation uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he really has. Like, I mean, like, you know, it's things that go in the house that should be going on, or things said that just shouldn't be said. The strength for the most part. So this right here has helped me, like, to just strengthen up and do what I need to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sometimes you have to have one of those rip the Band-Aid moments, and you know, but sometimes God too, you said something that's really really key, is that sometimes what God will allow the situation to continue to get more and more and more uncomfortable until you make a move. And it's like, you know, I gave this example last week about somebody talked about you know, you need to find they was giving an example about leadership and said you need to find a covering and not a lid. But the important thing about that lid, I gave the example about how grasshoppers are, is that they have been caged in for so long in that jar with a lid on it, with a hose poked in it for them to breathe, that when the lid has been taken off because they jumped up so much hitting their head on it, that when the lid has been removed, they're scared to continue to jump out. But then God will get, you know, sometimes not only take the lid off, but he'll shatter the glass. And it's like, you know, sometimes we just are holding on to some things that God is like, it's over. You know, it's already solidified, it's already done and over with legally, you know, or whatever the situation is, and you're still trying to hold on. I gave the example about a dead, you know, the fig tree that doesn't bear any figs, even in the even in the off season, Jesus was able to see that. But here's the significance about us in that we'll be doing rain dances around that tree. We'll be decreeing, declare rokotoing and rakatayin and all that. I decree you come forth fruit in Jesus' name, and be praying over a dead thing when God is like, it's dead. Let it go. And I allowed it to die, because I'm trying to bring you into something greater. I'm trying to bring you into something new. But because again, we got comfortable being in an uncomfortable place, is because we've gotten used to the dysfunction, that we know how to function in dysfunction, and we don't know how to make the necessary moves. So what I want to encourage you, man of God, is this. I know, you know, it's a transition, and it's not a easy one by far. But sometimes you do have to take the necessary risk, because at some point, you know, somebody's going to be forced to move, and it's going to be her, it's going to be you at some point. But why does it have to get to a place of uproar for us to submit, when you can just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna get, you know, let her know, like, look, give me 15 to 30 days. Let me, you know, look for a place or what have you, and I'm gonna be out or what have you. I'm already starting to pack to show you that I'm legitimately preparing myself to move out. I'm not gonna bother you. I'm gonna honor your you know, your space or what have you, or what you're doing in your life or what have you, and not have any expectations of anything for you to do for me. And I'm sure you feel the same way. And you begin to make the necessary steps. But the healing can't take place amongst chaos. not like that. So you have to get with that type of situation. So when you begin to move forward, then God can begin to do the healing work with you between you one on one. But it's harder for him to really do that while he's trying to heal you. And you come in, let's say you get some deliverance in the room, but you right when you get off, 5 seconds later, you seeing her, and all of that stuff drudges back up, and then you right back reliving and rehashing all of those things. But sometimes you got to get into a neutral space, a space away from the chaos or where the hurt was or where that old relationship was, so that you can be able to get the healing or the clarity and get even an understanding of what God is trying to do with your life next. So that's why I want to encourage you. No rebuke. But I get what you mean. Sometimes you need that stern and like, bruh, pack your bags and move out. But at the same time, too, it can be a sensitive subject because, again, I don't know the nature of your relationship to really say a lot. But at the same time, too, for your sanity, for peace, just make the necessary moves that you need to, and ask God to be able to show you where you need to go or get you the resources financially if you don't have it, or whatever you need to make the move so that you can have peace. You make sense?
Right. It makes plenty of sense.
Good stuff. Well, I'm praying with you and praying for you. I have not been married and been in a divorce, so I don't know that dynamic. However, I do have a god sister of mine. We're like twins in the spirit, and I have been there with her from beginning to end of her divorce, and if she was on here now, she would tell you of how, tough that journey was, but having somebody to be there through that, to help pray through. And, when you're crying your eyeballs out, and some people think that men don't cry in situations like this. I beg to differ, because when you've been in a relationship and you love someone, you don't know the dynamics of that. There is, emotions that do come with that. But I was able to see it from that side of it, or what have you. And I'm just sharing, even if she was here to share a testimony of how, if God has said that is finished and it's done, how fast she was able to to catapult into what God has designed for her and what God is trying to do and what God is doing in her life now. It's vastly different than where she was when she was married. So sometimes, the ending of a marriage is not always, rooted in being bad. We just, God is going to reveal to you in due time what this is connected to and what's the reason for it, or what's the next thing for you that he's doing in your life next, or even a new spouse or whatever. It'll be revealed in due time, but just go, get to a peace haven, even if you got to go, got to stay with somebody temporarily, whatever you got to do to get that semblance of peace. Because I know you said, you mentioned about how, certain things are done vindictively to, get a point to you. And it's like, well,
yeah, that's right.
But that could be the thing to try to get you, like, come on, you need to go ahead and make this move. And so instead of just staying and allowing it to happen, again, being comfortable, being uncomfortable, just be uncomfortable to find comfort. Like I said earlier, be uncomfortable. You got to move out and find you a spot. But the peace that comes after that, it'll make sense. It'll make sense. Indeed, but thank you so much for adding value to that. And this is open forum, so we're just chopping it up. So we are definitely able to expound on that. And if anybody wants to also add any value to that, you are also welcome as well. But we're back popcorn style. Anybody else want to add next?
So I'm sorry. I was waiting to get out of work. I've been listening and so excited. Love myself.
Hey.
Love everybody. So I was listening, and as I was
Mm.
You got too much to do, so you can't do this, so you can't do that. Now you have an excuse. And I said, literally, because I went to work. I've been at work since 9 this morning. And I'm just now leaving. I was supposed to be off at 5 o'clock. But the reason why I'm here till 9 is because, you didn't do what you need. I didn't properly set up myself to close out the month. So now here I am in a position like, you got to stay later so you can close out the month. So you don't have to go on tomorrow. And I said that's what it was. When I sat back and I heard you say that, and then it literally hit me. Like, you like hearing around all of this, but like being feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm so busy, I got so much to do. So therefore, I didn't, this is why I didn't get X, Y, and Z done. But no, I didn't just properly set myself up for success. And I took the role of God versus me saying, allowing Him to take the role and taking care of some things that I put my hands on throughout this month. I should took up my time. This is what I want to set myself up. So I was like, I get it. Like, every time I tap into these conversations, something it begins to click. It's like, okay, that is why you are not set. That's why you're not further along where you need to be, because you did not properly set yourself out of position. And that's simple as that. And being out of position brings on everything else that we're talking about. The failure to everything else, because I'm out of position with the one thing that's not allowing me or giving me the time, the energy, or the excitement to do the next thing.
Yeah.
It's not giving me the vision. It's not giving me anything that I need to be able to do the next thing, because I'm in the wrong position. I'm not aligned properly. So I thank you for this moment, just for allowing me just to have this moment, just to be able to say, my life to allow me to have that, because I'm like, okay, this is what you want to set yourself up for next month. What you want to do. So thank you so much, y'all.
Indeed, God be glorified always. We, even the list of things that has been listed off. These are something that we have to, at some point, not have to do these checks within ourselves on at least some sort of annual basis, because sometimes we'll get stuck in a pattern and don't even realize it. And then we have to go back and say, wait a minute, I was moving in a momentum. I was moving in a thrust. Like, what didn't happen? Or why am I so bogged down with so much drama and stuff? Or why my money off? Or why am I, I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to do, but I'm feeling always lethargic and not, driven and what is it? Some of it is things that is happening with you. Some of it is the environments you're around. Some of it is the people that you're connected to, or what have you. And sometimes you have to literally do a whole life check. Wait a minute. Where is the problem? Where is the blockage? Where is what is it? Because I am, being conscious to make moves, or in my life, or I'm not making the necessary moves, and I'm hating the place where I'm in. What is it that I need to do? Where is it? And being able to go in and dissect, and to find out where it is that is going to, stop your flow, or stop your momentum, and then be able to kill that thing. And so that's why this room is important, to break down, to look at these things. Okay, maybe I'm struggling with fear, or maybe it's because I'm being lazy and procrastinating, because when I really look at my day, I don't know how to capitalize on my downtime. I look at my downtime as just laying around and relaxing and watching TV, because I know I just work my little 8-hour shift or what have you. But I got a whole rest of the day that I could be productive doing some other things and capitalizing on that time. Or what's causing me to be have stagnation or towards writing this book, or why am I not staying as focused, or why do I have doubt in my capabilities and have lack of self-confidence? Where is this coming from? And sometimes you have to go into that, but sometimes we dig too deep and it gets us into a depressed state. So instead of it helping us, it's hurting us. And so sometimes we go from one extreme to the next. You know what I mean? Instead of being right there in that sweet spot in the middle, like, okay, I see where I'm taking up more of my time doing this, and this when I could be more productive here, or I'm spending more money on this than I should, and that I could be reinvested in what I should be doing, or I'm keeping these people around me in my life that are toxic, and they're only adding to me not making attempts in my life because they stuck. And so now I need to shift the people that I'm around, and got to realize not everybody is meant to go with me at every place and every journey in my life. And so, when you go through this, it's a pruning and weeding. This happens. It's a pruning and weeding in your life. It's also, realizing where the toxicity areas are functioning in your life that is really keeping you from thrust and from momentum. And if you don't, you gotta, this is, if you haven't done it before, this is the perfect place to start now, because once you start now, you will get more into the habit of doing this a little bit more consistent. Okay, I got to cut some people off. Okay, I got to get my focus back. Okay, I got to stop watching as much TV. Or maybe I can learn how to multitask. Maybe I can watch TV and work at the same time. I do it all the time. I'll have a split screen on my TV, on my computer, and I'll be working on myself in my peripheral, not even looking at the TV or looking at the show or whatever that I'm watching on ministry video or whatever. I'm able to hear. As long as I can hear, I'm grasping what's going on, and I'm able to still multitask and do what I need to do. I had a situation this week that I was being attacked in my body with something that was causing me pain, and I'm like, man, I can't even really sit and function and work the way I do because I'm dealing with this pain. But I had to find a way. Okay, well, maybe I can maneuver this way, or maybe if I have to sit in the bed, I'm gonna put my laptop, my MacBook, right in the bed with me. If I got to, because I'm not going to lose momentum. Because when you are not in a place of dealing with failure to make attempts in your life, you're not going to even, you're in a driven place. You're not going to allow these things to be a factor. You're not going to allow these things to govern and to rule in your life, because you are seeing shifts. You're seeing progression. You're seeing freedom. You're seeing it because you have analyzed these things in your life. You're starting to, and what kills them, and no, it's going to sound real simple, is making attempts. What kills laziness is making a move and making attempts. What kills procrastination is making attempts. What kills the ability for relationships are being established is making attempts so you can build new ones. These are what's good. You got to do the polar opposite of what these things are. Okay, I have a spirit of fear, but I now have a spirit of faith. I'm not allowing these things. I'm not laziness. Okay, now I have momentum. Procrastination. No, I have thrust. I'm not. I have drive. I have determination. Where doubt is, I'm confident within myself. Where I lack confidence, I'm assured in who I am. I am a friendly person, so I build relationships. So I can't and won't allow the failure attempts to kill my partnerships and my business relationships. I won't be. I will be a risk taker and try new things. So that what kills the unwillingness to take a risk. Making thrusts and progressions is what kills stagnation. Being obedient and taking those risks is what kills the spirit of rebellion in your life. And again, what I said before, being uncomfortable in a moment to find comfortability is what going to get me to that comfortable place. All of these things is about making a move. Self-sabotage. And I forgot that one. What kills us, self-sabotage is telling yourself, no, we're going to do it today. We're going to do it today. No, it's raining outside. I'm gonna work out. No, I am gonna work out. And if I gotta go for a brisk walk in the rain, if I gotta go find me a track or a gym or somewhere I need to go to, I'm going to do it because it's like, if you don't find a way to shake yourself out of the thing that tries to lock you in, it is literally making a decision. One of my good friends, she's a former mayor's wife, but she's still married to the former mayor. But they were the mayors of Vineland, New Jersey, and she is one of the right hands to John Maxwell. And she coins this phrase: "Not to make a decision is a decision." When you don't make an attempt, when you are literally making the decision that I'm not going to make a move. I'm not going to move in this space. I'm going to stay lazy. I'm going to be a procrastinator. I am going to have doubt. I am going to kill my relationships and my partnerships. And I know all this sounds like really, but when you don't make an attempt, that's what you're decreeing over your own self. I'm lazy. I have self-sabotage. I'm governed by spirit of fear. I allow stagnation to rule and reign in my life. I am a rebellious person that moves in witchcraft, and I am a person that likes being uncomfortable. That's exactly what it's saying when you failure to make attempts. But I know the way it sounds is like, nope, that's not me. That's not how I'm the direct opposite of that. But your actions depict what it is that I'm saying. And I'm not saying this directly to any one of you all, but you already know where it is that these things are a factor in your life. So that can be the motivator to you. Say, no, absolutely not. I'm not a stagnating person. I'm not a self-sabotaging person. And you begin to speak these things over your life, but not only speak it, because sometimes we just get stuck in writing things down and decreeing and declaring and speaking it. But that's what it is. We talk a good game, but our actions don't line up to what we say. And that's what killed making that attempt. That's what I'm saying. This is what kills these things. Making attempts is what's going to kill these areas in your life. And you're going to begin to see, man, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was. I was scared of that. That was nothing. People that deal with like fear of heights, and then you take them up to a high-rise building with large windows that you can't escape the view, but they're so scared to go to the edge. But when you walk them to the edge, at some point they lose the fact that they're scared of heights, and they embrace the beautiful view of the skyline of the city, or the trees, or whatever it is that they're seeing out of that building. And it literally compresses or dilutes or minimizes that fear in that moment right then. And it's like, that's what I've been scared of. This is what I've been missing out, to see this level of beauty this high up. So these are some things I'm telling you. These are some wisdom nuggets and some tools that you want to consider within yourself to keep that would kill you from allowing anything to prevent you from making attempts in your life. I know I said a lot, but I wanted to keep the room moving. Any momentum. Anybody else want to jump in and share or add to?
I wanted to share one thing. So when you were talking just now, I had thought about something that I was battling with at one point. I think you had mentioned earlier about the importance of I don't think you used the term mental health, but I know you were talking about getting to the bottom of things. When you're finding yourself not able to step out, when you find yourself in a state of fear, like getting to the bottom of why that is, and utilizing counseling if that's what's necessary. And I know that I've done that before, and I know for me, I battled really heavily with depression for like a long time. And if you know anything about mental health, they tell you that there's no cures or anything for, mental illnesses. And, kind of once they, they mark you with it, they kind of just, it's like it's there forever. And for me, this is what you're saying about, that failure without attempts. And I know I used to sit for a long time, and I would I mean, I could literally, especially if it's like my day off or something, or if I have some days off, I just literally will sit around. I might, brush my teeth, still shower and all that stuff, but once I've done that, I can literally just sit and just be staring at the wall for hours, like in days almost, and just never getting up to try anything, never getting up to push myself to do anything, just feeling very oppressed by what, the diagnosis and by the effects of it. But long story short, I really, over the last few months, I can really say that I've overcome in that area, and it wasn't just because of the counseling, and of course it was the Lord and the Holy Spirit, but I had to make some attempts on my own as well. Like I had to make it a point not to lay in bed all day, not to lay around, but to actually get up and do something. If that be exercise, writing, whatever it is, even making some changes in my diet and what I drink, what I was eating. Even though I'm not perfect and I'm still coming along, just a few changes that I've started to make, I've been noticing some changes in it. I think one of the things that you say a lot, Apostle, is how sometimes we'll count ourselves out because if we don't think that it's going to look a certain way at the end, or if it doesn't look a certain way when we do try it, we'll count ourselves out. And that was something that I have been working on, was I don't have to assume that I haven't made any progression just because everything doesn't look perfect yet. I can take the progression that I have made and say, hey, you know what? A few months ago, I wouldn't have gotten up and gone walking or drunk water or what have you. Or a few months ago, I wouldn't have noticed the change in my skin clearing up or things like that. And hearing you say that so much, it may sound, a bit repetitive to some, but for me, it's like a reminder of, okay, just rejoice in the little victories because it leads to greater, and I've just been continuing to see that. So I just wanted to add that. It kind of crossed my mind when you were saying some of the things that you just said about just really being intentional about stepping out and doing what's necessary to progress. So I give it my.
Indeed. Sometimes that repetition is what's going to build that momentum into you. Just doing it, repeatedly. So, or hearing it repeatedly. And that's why I do recaps, because for one, not everybody heard, but then for two, sometimes it doesn't click in that moment. Sometimes hearing it again is like, got it. Okay. But yes, this is great stuff. Anybody else want to add? We just free flowing. It's just us few in here today. So I'm considering this like a family moment right now. So you you are free to to flow freely and come off your mic at any time. So you okay? So let me ask you this. Since we've been talking about this particular topic for the last this is going being our third week. One, have you been able to apply any of this to your life? And if so, how is it shifting you, or how's your progression since being in this room talking about this failure without attempt, specifically this topic? Because I know this is something that is really essential, that if we don't deal with this part, we can never graduate or attain some of the other parts that we want to do, because this is rooted in momentum or making moves. So if these are factors, it's literally going to stop us. So I just want to ask that openly, and anybody want to share, or if you are new to the room and you're just hearing about it now, what if you can't answer the question, then what are some moves that you're going to take moving forward to make attempts in your life so that you're not being in a stuck place or, being uncomfortable, being comfortable, being uncomfortable, or whatever the list of things that we went over. Anybody want to answer that question?
Good evening, Apostle. I was in the grocery store, so I could not speak, but I just want to say thank you for pinging me in the room, and everything that I heard on tonight has been very uplifting for me. And failure without attempt, I can say I am guilty in some of those areas where you know how you can have a whole plan in your mind, but if you never execute it, it'll never get done. Mm-hmm. So I'm one of the ones I have the whole thing planned out, mapped out, written out in my head, and then when it's time to write it down or whatever, I forget some of it. So failure without attempt has pushed me to the place to start. If I begin the work on it, then God will give me the provision to see it all the way through. Yes. Without fear and without, thinking that, you spoke on, people maybe in a position or place that know more than you. But what you bring to the table is still valuable. You just have to start and speak it. So, understanding that, speak what needs to be spoken in the time that it needs to be spoken. And, put the work in. Don't be fearful. Don't be lazy. All of that. Just start with the work. And I've started a project. I'm a hairstylist. I own a salon. So finding that balance. I'm also a cosmetology instructor. So I've taken the step to start classes. I talked about it all the time. I talk to other people all the time. So this is just on time for me tonight because I actually sent all of the information to the person to make the flyer. So I am going to attempt everything, when it comes to the classes. So I thank you for this topic on tonight.
Indeed, absolutely. And if you need some assistance with that, if they don't come through, I own a marketing and branding firm. So whatever marketing materials you need, I can assist you with that as well. So definitely have 6 different companies all together, what have you. So, we can talk more in depth on that. But you'll see, actually, if you look at my bio, you'll see my companies there. So you can see if you need my assistance or my company's assistance, we can definitely assist. But yes, that is some excellent stuff. Being forced to make attempts. Yeah, sometimes you have to be. Sometimes, that's what gets you in certain situations and circumstances too, that forces you to make attempts. But good stuff. Anybody else want to answer that question?
Yes, Apostle Uncle. So, since joining the room and having this topic, so I want to say it was either the last one or the one before, to where I had spoken about just struggling just to stay consistent in my journey to get my healthy life journey, getting back to that point of just saying, okay, make smarter choices, do better, just getting that energy back and that want back in that area of just having a healthier life. And so since then, so I remember on that call, I was saying man, because I didn't want to even work out when I did work out. And I was like, you know what, if I'm going to be in this room, I need to get on this bike and I can listen and be pedaling at the same time. One monkey don't stop no show, right?
Indeed.
Okay, so it was so I remember that. And so ever since then, it's okay, even if I wasn't working out every day, or I knew that, okay, great, I couldn't, get out there and get to the gym and all the other stuff, I didn't sit up there and just go splurge and eat and give up. I still did something, and since then I've still been doing something just to do better. And then this last week, this week here, I said to myself, okay, every week, every day, just do something. Don't just go home, get off work and go home. Get off work and do something. So I was
are, here we are, still go home, do a workout. Don't just sit there. Don't just, just be like, be in the drowns of how this week went, because I am tired, okay? But I'm not that tired so I can't still give myself some me time. Right. And so, that's what I'm saying. I really appreciate this room. Because literally, like, I have been able just to really think through some things, because you know how we think so much to where we think, as you said, we think too deep into it. And then now you like, I ain't gonna do all that, because we have made it more difficult than what it actually is. Right. And therefore now we're not attempting to do anything because we think it's too heavy. We can't do all that. It's gonna take too much of my time. We make up all the excuses. So literally, like, this space has been very, very welcoming, and very, like, it's been welcoming and freeing all at the same time, if that makes any sense. So I thank you so much for, just being obedient and being consistent with having these rooms, because, like, a lot of times, like you said, you just can't go to any and everybody, and I don't know everybody here. I've never met you all or anything, but sometimes it does just take people that you don't know for you to be able to say, let me open up, because you now need to get to know me, and I want you to get to know the real me. Right. So like I said, I just really appreciate, these rooms and just learning from everybody, and just thank everybody for sharing their experience and their testimonies and their knowledge, because it really does help.
Indeed. God be glorified always. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm just glad that the assignment is being completed, that it is impacting the lives that it needs to be impacting, and regardless, I'm not worried about numbers, people that come in and out, there's people that listen to the replay, there's people that don't even have the app that actually is able to listen to the app through the internet. And a lot of people are not aware of that now, that, like, when you share the Clubhouse on your social medias, and if they click on it and they don't have the app for it to open up automatically, it'll take them to a web browser and they can listen to the replay and the room live. Now, I can't see it because it doesn't reveal any algorithm of how many people have looked at, from an external source, but you just never know who's going to come in and listen in. And then when you go back and look at the replays, you see that it's people that actually listen to replays. So, so I'm just really glad that it is impacting and empowering, people. It's doing it to me, and for myself as well. And I'll share mine at the end. But anybody else want to go next? You want to go next?
I was just about to ask you, Apostle, could you share some more about? I like hearing your stories, because
I got a billion of them.
You do, like, you put it on book. Like, I want to ask Michelle something. Like, tell us something you ain't told us already. But I don't know, your story is always a blessing to me, because it'd be like, man, I'm not out here by myself. Like, somebody gets it, because they went through it too. So I can't wait to hear what you gonna say.
Hilarious. Well, I shared a part earlier that, this past week, and I won't get into details because it could be a little too graphic, but I was dealing with some issues going in my body this week, and it actually started last week, but it really didn't start manifesting until until this week. And at first I didn't know what was really going on, but then I realized it was connected to a bug bite and what have you. And so I'm like, God, what's going on? I'm having these pains and all this other kind of stuff, right? But yet and still, I'm like, okay, I still need to get some stuff done. But in the midst of that, God was like, take this moment to get some rest. because, I am in a place of momentum and moving, that sometimes we can overdo it to the point that we're so overly focused that we begin to neglect the important things. We begin to neglect ourselves. I was talking about something to one of my coverings, apostle that covers me back home in Chicago. She sent me a video of this guy sharing his story or whatever. I couldn't even get to the story. I was so caught up in the fact that he was sharing his story from a jacuzzi on vacation, and I was like, I don't want to see this video. I mean, I'm a little low key jealous because I want to be in a vacation right now myself, but because I know what I'm building, I'm so close to the end, I can't do that just yet, because I have to allocate monies towards my missions trips and all that. So that right now it's not the important thing or what have you. But when I do, it's gonna be amazing. But it also gave me the inspiration to have something to work towards as well, because I did say that I want to kind of do some things prior to. But also, sometimes you do have moments where, like I said, you go from one extreme to the next and it's not properly balanced. And, like I said, you're either in momentum in one thing, and then you're not enough momentum in another. And then I also found that, in being too over in a place of so much momentum, that I had been isolating myself, that I had not been, spending time with my family or any friends or what have you, because I'm like, I got work to do, I got this to do, I got, which is not always a bad thing, but sometimes you do have to take time for yourself, and just to have that recoup moment. And my cousin, one of my older cousins, she's one of the matriarchs of our family. She lives down here in Georgia, and so she had called me last Sunday and was like, "What you doing?" She's like, "I already know you working, but you got some free time." I say, "Well, I was actually getting ready to lay down and take a nap." She was like, "Oh, well, I was actually calling to see if you want to go have lunch." I was like, well, no, I was actually just gonna take this nap and get to some work. She was like, "Oh, well, I got out of church early. I was just gonna see if you want to hang out for a few because I had the time." So I'm like, okay. I said, "Can you give me about an hour?" She's like, "No, I'm already out. I'll be there in about 30 minutes. I'm like, 30 minutes? You just calling me now? I'm not ready. Like, I got to shave my face. I got to, you know what I mean? But
You had to make sure you weren't gonna change your mind. That was.
right. So I'm like, and it was about to sabotage this moment. You know what I mean? And so I was like, sabotage the moment to get a rest moment, because I am so overly focused. Because like I said, it can go from one stream to the next. And so, we just sat and talked, and just, it was a moment to get out of the house. I had realized that I hadn't been out of the house outside of maybe going to the corner store, the store nearby my house, and that was like a short little walk or what have you. But other than that, I had been locked in for like weeks in the house, focused. Now, again, that's not a bad thing, but sometimes, you need that vitamin D, you need to get that sunlight, you need to go out, and, just, get some air or what have you. And so, like I said, I was about to have a self-sabotage moment because I was so focused on momentum. And sometimes, and this is using me as an example, that I have been in so much of a state of stagnation, not being motivated to really, accomplish or start and not complete, or all, because a lot of these things I'm talking about, I've been through or has been a factor in my life. And that's why I talk from such a passionate place, is because this is where I've been. And that I have had these moments that I sometimes fear that if I do take a break, it'll be a snowball of effect to build laziness and procrastination. Because this is the first time in my life that I have been this driven and this focused. And so, of course, when you're so used to having those moments of slowing down and being stagnant and all this stuff, dealing with those things, where is it coming from? Is it come from learned behaviors? I realize the learned behaviors. It's coming from family and examples and people that I've seen and all that stuff. And I've also seen some progressiveness as well. But now that I'm applying this to my life and I'm seeing progression, it's like, I don't want to stop that. So it's like, so I would rather sacrifice important things like spending time with my family, and or they can call me and know I'm available, because I'm a good multitasker. I can be working while I'm on the phone. I'm doing it right now while I'm talking to you all on Clubhouse and ministering to you all. But but at the same time too, I do have to take a moment to breathe. I do have to take a moment to just say, go walk the mall. Maybe you might not buy nothing, but just go walk it and just go experience it and just get out and get a breather for a moment, maybe an hour or two, or maybe go take a walk and just experience the sunshine outside. It's getting nice out. It's nicer out again. It's not, we're not in the cold season anymore. Just get out and start walking or whatever. But it's like, you're so close to the end, you're so focused about that. But then on the flip side of it, God is doing some things. But it's still like, you got to find a balance. You got to find a balance. And sometimes that's what we lack. That's why I said we go from one extreme to the other, and we don't really have the necessary balance that we need, that we can still be focused, but we can still take time for ourselves. That we take too much time for ourselves, that we, now we're set back 2 and 3 weeks in progression of what we're working on. We got to learn how to manage our time, and that's one of the things that I'm being more progressive in doing. That, like I said, I went from one extreme to the next. Now I'm more focused, but now I'm because things are coming to an end, then I'm able to be like, okay, I can start reallocating time to some things or what have you. But I know that I'm already going to be taking like a couple of weeks off before I do launch, because I am going to need to recuperate. I have not had an off day in a year and a half. I ain't talking about a few hours break.
Are you serious?
No, I'm very serious. No over exaggerating. I've not had an off day in a year and a half. I had 2 hours off, maybe 3 hours off on a weekend, but a full off day in a year and a half, because I'm a ministry gift, so I do ministry. I have 7 businesses that are already in existence, and I'm working on another one. I have to prepare to go prepare to go overseas, so that's going to cost me money. So I got to find ways to raise money for that. You know what I mean? I got business trips that I got to prepare for. That's also overseas, so that's even more money. You know what I mean? Then I got another assignment that's coming on me that to start building and preparing for a conference. I don't know if it's going to be this year or next year, but either way it go, I have to start making preparations for it. Then I'm being asked to do speaking engagements and do Zoom trainings and all this other kind of stuff. So that's more and more and more time. And so because I'm an entrepreneur, I'm able to pivot and to shift. But again, it's kind of it's getting that grasping the balance now, because the pendulum has shifted so far in the other direction, because like I said, I have been in those states of the procrastination or the laziness or not being as consistent as I needed to be. Not so much of a lot, not so much always being lazy, but have moments that I'm like, dang, I've been laying around and watching TV for like a few days. Yeah, I did some work here and there, but I'm laid down for like 2 or 3, 4 hours watching TV. Like, that's not me. Now I get irritated if I take a nap longer than an hour, because I'm like, I feel like I'm wasting billable hours where I could be making money or fulfilling purpose or doing ministry or something. And people say, you got to get some rest. You got to get some rest. But when you in a thrust, it's like, yeah, I'll rest in Dubai on the beach. Once I complete, I'll take another trip to Mexico, for a week or two and just recuperate, but it's so much building that's happening all at once. It's just like I said, it's finding a way to not self-sabotage myself, to take time for myself. Does that make, does all that make sense?
Yes, sir, it does. You sound just like my apostle. Because I saw him today. I had to go do some work. We were talking about some things we're going to get ready to do next week. But, I talked to him and I told him, because the Lord's helped me be more vocal about things. And I've only been working as an administrator really for about 3 weeks now. So I'm still learning things. And I knew from the moment I met him, I said, he know how to work in chaos. He know how to just have 15 different things going on at once. We don't know what's coming next. It's just boom. And I'm one to plan stuff out if I can control it. I'm going to have a calendar that says, hey, Monday on the 5th, boom. So we talked today, and I said, Apostle, listen, I'm not here to change you, but I'm telling you, some of this uproar can come down some if we just put things down on paper. And he was just like, yeah, he said, yeah, woman of God, listen, I'm gonna hand you my home. I'm just gonna hand you all these calls, all these folks need to talk to me. I'm about to just hand it over to you and have these folks start making some plans. I said, yeah, just the little things. I know everything may not be able to be written down, but that what you can write down. Let's do that so that you're not so, and then for me, it helps me because I have to know I won't go crazy. I can't do what y'all do. And y'all can just rip and run 15 different ways and not say nothing about it. Not me. I need to know which way we run it, why we running it, and what day we running it on, and how long we doing it for. I'm very adamant in that regard, and I guess that's kind of part of my mission with, helping him. And with you, Apostle, I don't know who helped you as far as, I don't know if you have an assistant or if you have a team of people, but it's funny because, you and my apostle are around the same age, I believe, and I'm sorry, listening. I just don't want you to burn out and be. We got these creatures dying younger and younger, okay?
This is true.
They died in their 40s now, and they ain't even making it to 50 because they a lot of them doing too much. And I'm gonna be apostle. Trust me, I'm not speaking nothing over you. You gonna live a long life, declare the work of the Lord, all that great stuff. But that burnout is real.
It is.
You can do all the exercising and herbal supplements that you want, but if your body is not getting the proper nutrients as far as rest and taking time out for itself, none of that will matter if the body feels like it's being overworked. And we don't want to see you on here doing PHWD 1 week and then we can all coming to your funeral the next.
Exactly.
We just don't want that. And we be like, well, how he died? Well, he was trying to run that 18th business and got a little carried away. I'm like, it don't have to be like that. We just don't. My boss, I ain't your mom, because I'm pretty sure your mom or somebody else said this to you, so I'm not trying to come down on you or nothing like that. But you're doing well, and you come a long way. You're doing a lot that we're able to glean from with what we're trying to pursue for ourselves. So it's okay to take a minute, for real. It's like you're doing okay, and I don't think it's all gonna fall to the ground because you take some time for yourself.
Right.
But just like you tell us, we can tell you the things that are beneficial, but you have to see it yourself.
Right.
So my whole thing for you is that I pray that your eyes will become open to see that, hey, you're doing good, and that you'll say, you know what? I don't have to pull it all the way back, but pull back enough to be healthy, and pull back enough to know I'm running my businesses, I'm handling my business, I'm doing my thing, I'm covering people, I'm praying, I'm ministering, but I'm still making sure that I'm okay.
Absolutely.
Like I told my apostle, at the end of the day, now I know you're not married, and you don't have children or nothing, but at least I don't think you do, because I haven't heard you mention anything about kids or a wife, but you're single, right, Apostle?
Right. I don't have any children.
I just want to make sure I wasn't assuming. Okay.
Right.
But, I told my apostle was married and has a family. And I said, listen, you got to look out for you first. Because people that you're called to, but what good are you to them if you're not good? You know, they can't all be okay. Everybody okay, but you. That don't work. You gotta be good too.
Right.
So, and I'm sure you. I mean, like I said, I know you're Preston and you're so used to this, but hearing you say that it's been like a year and a half and you just been running and you've been kind of caved in the house for the last few weeks, and I'm just like, Apostle, it's okay. It might not even mean nothing coming from me because you don't know me that well. I'm not. You know, I might not be somebody in your life that's, you know, whatever, but you good. Just, you know, allow the Lord to lead and guide you and, you know, give you the wisdom to know where to pull back at and how to have a balance. I'm not telling you to stop anything because when you got multiple businesses, I mean, I get it. It is kind of hard to just put something down because you don't want to neglect anything, but there is wisdom. I mean, you tell us to use wisdom, right? That we're not overextending ourselves. So,
oh, don't be blinking your mic, woman of God. Trying to come in my room rebuking me, the devil? No, I'm playing. No. I agree, and I'm not. And when I share this, it's not rebuttaling what you say at all because you're right. And to the assistant thing that you mentioned, I did have an assistant. What have you? I had to let her go because she was not doing what needed to be done. However, the vision that I'm working on now, not all of them, but one in particular, what have you? The Lord said that nobody can be involved at all, and I can't say anything until it's done. So God has put it on me that I have to do everything until it's at a place of release. So that's something that's not in my control. That's God. That's not me. But at the same time, too, you're right about the balance or what have you. But like I said, you know, when you have been in such a place of momentum and you're seeing things happening and because of focus and not seeing this really ever, you know, because of the inconsistency. That's why I said earlier, making myself transparent that, you know, when you have been in a place of momentum and thrive. And and it's funny that she just came in the room because, you know, she Apostle Capitoria is in the room, Apostle Tori is in the room, and she's one of my coverings, and she's one of my dearest friends, and she keeps it 100 with me all the time, because she's one of my wife's counsels who I talk to about, you know, and we always seem to be either on the same page or dealing with certain similar things or what have you. So I'm really grateful for her and honor her for being in the room. But she can, you know, tell you because she's been around enough to see the inconsistencies and the struggles and all of that in my life to now things have shifted in another way that is, like I said, the pendulum is for certain things that went from so far from the left to the right that it's like when you have that, like I mentioned earlier, it's like you don't want to slow down because you don't want to get anywhere close to anything that will slow you up because you're used to things being slow. You're used to things not being as progressive. So that's but you're right. You're absolutely right that, and trust me, when things is where I need them to be, especially when, you know, on financial end and time end, it is off to the races. Y'all ain't gonna hear from me as much. You gonna have to find me. Exactly. And another thing too that I do at least twice a year is I do a shutdown. Complete shutdown, and I go on sabbaticals or I go on consecrations, and I do you know, it is a isolation of sorts, but that's because I need that replenishing. I do get the rest. I get in the presence of God and all that, and then I do take time for myself in the midst of that too. So, you know, so it's not always, it's just for this thing, you know, because it's yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is not a consistent thing. So yeah, it's just for the last year and a half is because of that, of the in the instruction of God, if I say that, it's not that I want it, because trust me, I want to shout it to the rooftops. And I think I said this maybe last week in a room, or maybe in one of the rooms. I said, God, this is the first time in my life, purpose-wise, that you have sent me midwives, you sent me potential investors, you sent me all this stuff, and they could help me right now. Like, God, like, you are literally putting the people in my way that can really help me execute what I need to execute. But yet your responses to me is that you can't say anything till it's done. So I have to birth this thing out on my own. Even though I got midwives, I got to birth it out on my own. And yes, I might want it a certain way, but as me and Apostle says all the time, many plans in a man's heart, but it's God's will that prevails. And so I might want it to be a certain way. But one thing I have learned in this journey, even though I have not had the day off like I would love to have, is that I have learned so much about myself. I have learned so much about God. I have learned so much about what happens when you are in the divine will of God concerning what it is that he's doing in your life. That, like I said earlier, when you are on purpose and you are in alignment, he won't even allow you to have self-sabotage. He won't. Things will be a constant reminder around you that when you want to get lazy and you scrolling through your phone and you watching a TV show, something is going to remind you of, and all of a sudden you right back focused, or you right back writing that book, you right back in front of your computer. And so that's what happens to me. This is not stuff I make up. I'm like, literally, I can be, I'll go and lay down for a quick second, and I'll be scrolling through Instagram or scrolling through Facebook, and something will be in connection to what I'm doing or what I'm already working on, or as a reminder. And before I know it, I'm sitting right back up in front of the computer. And then I do also have found myself in instances where my energy has been depleted, and I'm like, God, but I'm in a momentum. But I do need to go lay down. But then when I say I'm going to go lay down, I end up staying up another 2 hours. And it'd be 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, Lord, like I'm working 18, 19 hours a day, but I can't complain. And the reason why I can't complain is because when I look at the progress of what has taken place, what I've accomplished right now in this year and a half level of work, if I would have slowed down even in a smaller measurement, it would have taken me 3 years to get this done, maybe even 4. So I'm more closer to the finish line. And some things that I have been asking for and looking for and searching for what I'm working on is now coming in the 9th hour. It's like, wait a minute, God, why couldn't you bring this like 6 months ago? Why couldn't you bring this when I was like now I'm almost at the end? You adding more work, but I can't get mad because I'm excited about what it is that he's dropping. Like, man, I've been looking for this. Oh, I've been wanting something like this. Oh, this is gonna bring in this. Oh, this is gonna do that, and it's getting me that excited. And because it's keeping me excited, it's keeping that drive and that adrenaline. And because it's keeping that drive and adrenaline, it's keeping me focused. And that's why I'm okay, because I'm okay with even the lack of rest. I'm even okay with the lack of days off, because when this is done, it's going down. Now you gonna shout. I'm gonna be in Dubai. You enjoy. I'm gonna be on the flight while y'all shouting to be like I'm on a private jet, basking in the creation of God. Amen. So, but this, like I said, this is not anything that I want or desire even for myself, because I would love to get some rest. I would love it. But it's like when something is on you and you can't shake it, even if you try, even when you want to, it's like I can't let it go. And it's not that I can't let it go. It's God on me or what have you. So yeah. So but I definitely don't get me wrong. When my body says you gonna sleep, I'm asleep. I might get that hour or two in. You know what I mean? So I don't.
going to bed.
Exactly. So I do listen to my body and I do listen to God, but it's just been more so of having a whole day off.
Okay, well, I wasn't trying to come at you, Apostle. It was out of love.
No, you good, because I'm about to get your resume, because you might end up being the replacement for the, praise God, Ema. See, the Lord know how to send you help when you need it. Look, that's your work that you do for the church. I'm talking about an employee for my businesses. I ain't talking about ministry stuff.
Well, we'll see if I make the cut. I know you told me you let the last one go, and I know you were no nonsense kind of
Amen. But I do appreciate that, though, and that just says that people are mutually concerned for, you know, what you're doing in that regard. So, you know, but I do appreciate that. But I do want to acknowledge the woman of God. The apostle is in the building. Want to give her an opportunity to go ahead and share. I know she has something massive to add, as she always does. But you are welcome, Apostle Tori, to chime in on the conversation.
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Hello, everybody, God's people. Hey, Apostle.
Hey, love you.
Always good to be with you. Just listening, because I'm in that place where my sister was just talking about, I'm laying in the bed. That's what I'm doing right now, just laying in the bed, kicking back. You know, but I was just listening to you today and knowing Apostle Aaron like I do, and watching him and seeing the get up and go, and I'm going to call it the fast track that he's on, that even in the fast track, God gives you downtime.
Yeah.
So I know that there's been times when he's even told me, he said, hey, you know, I need to pull back right now. So God's wisdom always prevails, but I know too that sometimes God just continue to download so fast that you be trying to catch up with him.
My God.
And he pulls you back and allows you a season of rest. And that season doesn't have to be a whole week. It doesn't have to be a 24-hour period. But when God puts you in a position of rest, remember, he created everything in 6 days, and on the 7th day, he rested. Now, many of us would say 6 days, that's a lot. That's a lot to do. And just rest for 1 day behind that. And he tells us that 1 day is as 1,000 years with the Lord. So I do know that he does pull back as well and get re-energized when he needs to. But I do also understand the fast track. You're on a fast track. You just have to keep going until the Lord just really gives you that downtime, and you know, them power naps in between as well.
Yes,
can
God.
actually sustain you for a longer period of time to go. You know, and that's what we see when we go through the Word of God. We see that God put a lot of people on fast track, but then he also pulled them back for a season, and they went in the strength of what it was that he poured in that short period of time. So I do know that that definitely does happen. God is really good at making sure that we get what we need when we need it, even if it's a minute period of time that feels like, you know, when other people see it, it's not enough. But God, you know, he knows. And I was looking at what you were talking about, failing without attempts. And I am a John Maxwell trainer as well. And so very, very thankful to be a part of his team. But I was just in one of his teaching sessions, and he was talking about how he had gone to he had a conference, he said, and he said all the speakers came up and they all talked about how successful they were. And he said he got perturbed just hearing all these preachers, all these wonderful, powerful speakers talking about how well they had done. And he said when he got up as the last speaker, he began to talk about how many times he failed. And then he began to say how failure, you cannot separate failure from success. Because if you're going to be success, you're going to fail. And fail, I like to say it in another training I was in, first attempt in learning. When we are learning to be better, we have to weed out, if you will, or take out, you have to de-weed the garden. You have to take out the things that don't work and try again until you get it to, and tweak it till it's in such a place that it works. And when we go back through history, I'm not talking about Christianity, I'm talking about history now. You know, Thomas Edison, the light bulb, he didn't get it right the first time. The Wright brothers flying, they didn't get it right the first time. But when you look at life and think about failing, and you focus on that, you miss the beauty of success. Because with every success comes failure. So we have to learn how to not look at failure as a negative thing, but look at it as a birthing of a new thing. That's all failure is. It's a birthing of a new thing. It's a new way of doing something. So he was really saying that in order, you cannot separate failure from success. They go hand in hand, because failure teaches you how to be better.
Yes.
Glory to God. But we look at it as if it's a negative thing, and it's not. It is just perfecting or getting it better, getting it right. When you look at all the other speakers and teachers, T.D. Jakes is one. Glory to God. I love Marilyn Monroe. She's another one. Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, all these people, they didn't do it. Venus and Serena Williams, they didn't all do it right the first time. So let's stop focusing on what's not right and tweak it till it gets better, till it gets good enough. Glory to God. So that we can go for the gold, baby. Because the gold is right here. And what God has placed, can I say this for everybody that's listening? What God has placed in all of us is golden.
Yes.
And that gold, though, is not for you. You go through so that somebody else can come out. So stop focusing on yourself and focus on the fact that God is reaching. He's really raising you up to be a spokesman or woman to the nations. Who's the nation? The people that's in front of you. Glory to God. You don't have to go around the world to speak to the nations. You speak to the nations right now. Glory to God. So he's perfecting you. He's tuning you up so that the greatness that's in you can speak at the appointed time and bring release to the people that are struggling to stand.
Yes.
That's why we've got to stand, therefore. Stand, therefore. We've got to understand that we don't fall. We may look at it and say, oh, we fell down. Okay, you can call it that if you want to. I just say you made a mistake. That's it. It's a mistake. So get up and get back on it. Why? Because people's lives are on the line.
Yes.
And they're counting on you. Which is why I think, in my opinion, God fast tracks us too. Too many people are dying, and not enough people are out there saying, hey, live. God says, I come to give you life, and that more abundantly. What do you mean? Okay. When you live, you release life to others. When you walk in your call and the beauty of who you are, others come alive around you. When you shift, other people shift. So listen, let's just begin to work the work while it's day. Because truly nighttime will come when no man can work.
Yes.
So let's get busy with Jesus. But also, so I do agree, also get busy laying down sometimes and getting what you need. But when he gets you up, get up and get to work. And if you need some help, Shalia and I know about NRG. Ask us about NRG. We can help you out, give you some good energy. God bless you. I love you guys. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I yield my mic.
You know, you ain't even got to ask about an opportunity to speak. You know, you are always welcome in this room. I just wanted to add something to what she shared about it, something that the Lord showed me about what she said when God fact checks you because of the need that He has of you. Um, during, I'll say probably earlier, well, the middle of last year, the Lord had showed me this vision of the earth, and I began to see a ring of thrones around the earth, and they started to kind of go from the top and started circling around, almost kind of how dominoes are, to do a circle around the earth. And the Lord said to me that in these seats or what have you, I start to see, kings in these seats, or kings or queens or whatever. But it doesn't specify queen in the Bible. It's where prophets, kings, and priests. So even it's not gender specific. But I start to see empty seats, and the Lord said to me that the reason for the empty seats was based upon the deaths that has taken place in the earth with the pandemic, and some people have just died during this time and season because of many different reasons, But the Lord said that this is the opportunity where I'm filling the seat. The enemy has had so much authority functioning in the earth for so long that now that the tables have turned, and now God is allowing us to become first and instead of last. But we have the opportunity to fill these empty seats. But if we don't fill the empty seat, the enemy has authority to come and fill it again, is what he said. So you can fill it, or the enemy can come and fill it. Or if you don't submit, and God doesn't want the enemy to fill it, he'll find a replacement for you. He'll find somebody else that will take your space. And so, the significance of us making attempts and not allowing, sabotage and the spirit of fear and laziness, procrastination, doubt, failure to attempts to, keep us from establishing and building relationships and partnerships and all the things that I listed off what this does, or what have you. It prevents us from filling that empty seat. It prevents us from fulfilling what we're meant to be in the earth, because we have to realize that whatever the attempts that we need to be making was designed to be bigger than you. And I say this repetitively all the time. It's always what you are meant to fulfill and do, even in your health of your life, to be here, to be sustained, through your health, is bigger than you. You being here is meant to fulfill an assignment. And we are made for the master's use. We're made for his pleasure. And when we don't take that into consideration and we just think it's all about us, you are literally holding up so many lives. We have authors in this room, we got ministry gifts in this room, and the list goes on. We got entrepreneurs, hairstylists, and all that. I've been in the field of hair as well. I've been around it my whole entire life, or what have you. And that even in doing hair is therapeutic. It is a lot of counseling. It is, people get healing just through your hands in that regard. And so, but if you did not go to school, you didn't become an instructor, because funny enough, my mother is also went to school and became an instructor as well, and managed salons for years. And that's how I learned the hair industry, but through her. And so, but that's not what I do anymore. But that, I just learned it, and it is a trade that I can go back to doing if I want to do it. Do I want to do it? No. But at the same time too, but we got to understand that even through that, relationships are being built. You don't know that somebody will come into your space, or you work with them because of the business you're doing, that see your potential and say, you know what, I want to invest in what you're doing. We want to make sure that we want to make this a franchise business, and now you become the next Mario Chikosi, or the next Apple product, or the next Barnes and Noble, or the next publishing house, or whatever it is that God has given for you to do. You will be able to do those things because you realize that, again, it was bigger than you. You're meant to not only affect the people that you are pouring into directly, but then on the other side of that, you are also, just by you being obedient and making the attempts, inspires others. I have a good friend of mine that's in Chicago that has a very well-known choir. I'll name drop just because for the sake of it, but he also was in the House Sweet the Sound choir competition and won that as well. Dexter Walker and Zion Movement. Very powerful group or what have you. I've been knowing him for years. Matter of fact, my mom that was just on just a second ago sang in a community choir in Chicago, and that's how I met him before he even started his group. And so we have been knowing each other for years. And he had said to me, and I mean, he's been on the Stellar Awards. He's been, traveling all around the world with his choir, and his group is large. I mean, they kill. And if you want to check them out, just look at their competition video from How Sweet the Sound, Dexter Walker and Zion Movement. They are ridiculous, and it's an army of them. It's probably about a good 100 of them, if not more. But sometimes they don't all perform, together when they're traveling because it's just too many people. But they are an army, and they started out straight out the gate like that. But when me and him had a conversation a couple of years ago, and he said, "Well, you know what, bro? You inspire me." I was like, "I inspire you? How?" I don't understand. You are well off than what I am. You're doing well in your music, or what have you. You have been nominated and won several awards for what it is that you're doing. How is it that I inspire you? He said, your fearlessness. He said, you took a risk and you decided to pick up and leave your home city of Chicago and move to, that at the time I was living in New York and in Jersey. And he was like, you just moved to a whole nother city and state where nobody, you don't know anybody, and you are just starting your life completely over, and you just trusted God. That's admirable. He's like, I really would love to do something like that. I said, well, why is it? He said, because, my choir is my baby and I can't really entrust that into somebody's hands. I said, well, I beg to differ. I said, you have like Lonnie Hunter and these are ones that I've known out of Chicago, Lonnie Hunter and Ricky Dillard, and a number of people that still have their choirs functioning, and they live and have lived in different states, and they do very well, and they fly in to whatever the engagement is, and a group bus in, and they do whatever they need to do. And so and I said, so you don't want to allow that to be the thing that prevent you from just being your best you or doing what it is that you desire to do. And he was like, but it was rooted in fear. It was rooted in fear of somebody taking over his group, and fear of what will happen moving to a whole nother state of what will happen in that regard. So, so I just, found that baffling that me making a move inspired someone else. And you just never know. You never know who's watching your life. You never know. You think that nobody's looking, but there are people that's watching. There's people that's looking at you. There are people that might be in rooms that you come in and you say something, and that might have been the thing that literally kept them from committing suicide, or gave them the inspiration to build what they were going to build, and then within a matter of months they became a millionaire because they heard what you said, because you decided, you know what, I'm gonna go on Clubhouse today. I'm actually going to go ahead and go on the stage, and I'm going to unmute myself when I'm asked to speak, and I'm going to share something of value and your story, your journey of what you went through, because of you making attempts in your life, inspire other people. So, again, this is when you are in a place where you're struggling with making attempts in your life, you got to begin to look at that within yourself to say, am I being selfish? Am I being selfish because I want to just not move because I don't want to do it, but not realize, but when you build that brand or that business or that purpose, that it is set up that is going to remain in the earth even after you're gone. Even after your children's children is gone, because it's greater than them. Leaving the inheritance for your children's children is great. But the thing about that is that you want it to remain for generations to come. Martin Luther King Jr., unfortunately, sad to say, is dead and gone and disintegrating in the grave. But his legacy that he's built lives on. But what would have happened if he didn't make an attempt to say that I have a dream? What would have happened? What would have happened if Rosa Parks didn't say that? Okay, I'm not going. I'm gonna make an attempt and sit anywhere because I'm tired, my feet hurt, and I'm gonna go ahead and sit in the seat that's not for us. What would have happened if, just in history, what would have happened if Noah didn't obey God and build the ark? We wouldn't even be here in existence. God would have destroyed the whole entire earth and nothing would be here. And he could have started over with some sort of alien race. We wouldn't have. See, all of these things are significant because they made attempts. What would have happened if Moses did not obey God when he was standing before the burning bush and was stuttering, talking about, I got a speech impediment? What would have happened? Me and Apostle Tori, I think I was in the room with her. Maybe it wasn't her. Maybe it was another apostle I was with. But we were talking about. I was talking about this with another apostle, if I'm not mistaken, about what would have happened. What with Moses? Like, what would have happened? What would have happened if Jesus said, "Oh heck no, I'm about to die for y'all"? And y'all don't even appreciate it. Are you serious? I already see the end before the beginning. So why would I put myself and hang up on the cross and suffer and bled, die, go down to hell and rip the keys and come back with power? Why would I have to do that when I was already in power before I got here? But there was an attempt made to preserve not only the nation and the people, but the world and for generations to come. This is how important we don't even realize. What would have happened if what the book calls God's generals, if they wouldn't have obeyed God and began to move in deliverance, move in healing? What would have happened to the forefathers of the apostolic prophetic, the Kojic movement, the Pentecostal movement, all these different things that we experience in vast and different levels in God? What if they did not make an attempt? What would have apostle just made mention about the light bulb? What would have happened if that wasn't done either by the black man or the white man that created it or stole it? What would have happened if none of these individuals, the light bulb, a building, your car, your phone, Clubhouse, what would have happened if any one of these individuals did not make an attempt? We wouldn't even be knowing each other right now. And see, this is the significance of why it is important for us to look at things differently and not from a selfish place and from so much of a personal or thinking what God has given you is small in context, because to your perspective, to your logic, to your understanding and your assumptions, you think it's small. But what if it was meant to be big or large or great? What if you might not see it in your lifetime, or even your children might not see it in their lifetime? But maybe because you started it, somebody else is going to come along and invest in it and then make it what it's meant to be. But because you started it, that's what's the important part. Somebody has to start. Somebody has to attempt. Well, do you know? I'm going to tell you this. Since we keep it at 100 in this room, we keep it at a buck, right? I was going to cancel the room today. I was going to reschedule it for tomorrow because I want to invest more time in what I got to build. And I said, well, we'll do it tomorrow. But no, it was meant for me to do it now. It was meant for it to be the only 5 people that's in this, or 4 people in this room plus me, to hear what is being said in this room, because y'all, by one individual, has the ability to impart into thousands of individuals each. And that's how significant this is. So I don't look at numbers and worry about the fact that we only had 24 people that have come through this room. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried that I've had some people that come in the room with agendas, just like there was just coming in and out of the room just a moment ago, was trying to come on the stage and try to sabotage his atmosphere. But the Lord is like, no. I'm not worried about the fact that even on Facebook right now, even at this moment, I'm looking at the people that's in the room and it says 0. I'm not worried, because who is meant to hear what needs to be heard is is the ones that's going to be imparted into. And as long as the seed is planted, as long as somebody is coming to water the seed that has been planted, God is going to give the increase. And we got to understand our place. We got to understand our portion and what we're meant to do and what we're meant to handle. And if we don't do our part, then there cannot be increase. It can't be increase. Somebody can come along and water a ground, they ain't got no seed in it, and they create mud. Or somebody can come along and plant the seed and not water the seed, and the sun will come and consume the seed. It will come and consume the seed, and God can't give increase. But we got to make sure that we are doing our part. This is why it's significant that we got to dig within ourselves to find out, why do we allow self-sabotage to keep us from making attempts? Why do we allow the spirit of fear from allowing us to make attempts? Why do we allow procrastination, laziness, doubt? Why do we allow not being able to build and establish new relationships and build new partnerships? Why do we allow lack of confidence in ourselves, not knowing who we are, not being clarity of what that is? Why do we allow being unwilling to take a risk, taking a leap of faith, just jumping and trying something new? Why do we allow stagnation? Why do we allow the spirit of rebellion? Why do we allow being comfortable, staying in an uncomfortable place, be the things a factor to prevent us from making attempts? And that's why I say we got to do the work within ourselves to really dig in to find out, why is it that causes me to be in a state of rebellion to not make an attempt, because I'm thinking so much about myself and not realize that this is a part of my assignment. This is a part of my purpose. This is a part of what God made me to be. When you begin to dig in and you find those hidden treasures, hidden in earthen vessels, those hidden talents, those hidden abilities, everything that is dug underneath the ground that you got to, or in the inward parts of you, God brings situations to bring them to the surface, because he wants you to be aware that this is a part of your purpose. This is a part of what he made you to be and fulfill in the earth. He didn't put it in there just for it to be dormant. He put it in there for you to search it out. Just like you got to search out the scriptures, you got to search out what is hidden on the inside of you, because it's been put in you before the foundations of the earth, before you came out of an eternal realm and coming into an earthly realm, and to come into to your mother's womb. It was already there. But over time, through circumstances and situations, through trials and tribulations, through awareness, coming in clubhouse rooms and hearing prophets and hearing messages, it illuminates an awakening like, oh, I didn't even realize. I didn't even know that I had this ability. I didn't even know that that was there. Public speaking was something that I did not want to ever do, ever. Doing Facebook Lives, I said, oh, absolutely not. Nope. Nah. No, ma'am. No, sir. No. But what if I didn't do it? From some of the hundreds of videos or tens of videos or 20s or whatever videos that I've done, and the people that have been inspired by it, that have been empowered by it, what would have happened? I would have been setting those people back. And we don't even realize how much there is blood literally coming off of our hands like rivers, because we just refuse to not do what is our portion, what we're meant to do. When you don't attempt, you're holding up other people's lives, and you're holding up your life. Because you know you're tired of being in the state that you're in. You know you're tired of the money that you make in. You know you're tired of the area where you live at. You want a bigger house. You want all this other kind of stuff. And when you seek ye first the kingdom of God and all its righteousness, all these things are added. But you got to do what it is. You got to do the work of the one that sent you. You got to know what that is and have identity. And you got to be able to move in that and not allow fear to govern your life, or any of the things that I just listed off that we went over. So this is really important. So I'm going to open it back up. Anybody else want to add in or share, or because we have family table talk now. It's family in the room now, so we good. It's popcorn style. Anybody can go. God be glorified.
We can't hear you. I can't hear you anyway.
Yeah, it's a little low. Well, a lot low, but you know.
It is a lot low?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so sorry. But let's see if I can. Because I don't know why every time I get on here, sometimes it's low. Sometimes
You got earbuds in?
No. Let's see. Can you hear me a lot better now?
A little bit, but not it.
Kind of yelling. Hold on one second. It's probably because I've been moving around too. Let me see if I can go out and come back in.
But while she's doing that, Apostle talked about the first people working to get things done before the actual person who does it and is noted for it does it. I was just looking up when you talk about flight and the Wright brothers. Before the Wright brothers, there was Santos Dumont in the 1800s, late 1800s, and Gustav Whitehead in the early 1900s. You don't hear about them. But before the Wright brothers, they were working towards flying. So we definitely have the pieces that make life work. You may not have the whole piece, the whole picture, but the pieces that you release give somebody else the picture to run further. And that's what happened with the flight community. It started way before the Wright brothers, but they're the ones that really put it all together to make sure that we're flying today. But it started before them. I just wanted to add that. Thank you. I yield my mic.
Indeed. Go ahead, woman of God. See if we can hear you now.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it was just all the movement and coming in the car, house, everywhere else. So yeah, so what I was saying was, I wanted to publicly thank Pastor Capitoria for introducing me to your apostle, because that is how we end up coming together. And just how, it's a display of her oil. When you are around good people and you are a good person, the oil just flows so well. Like I hear you and I hear you speak, and I feel like I always hear her. And it's just a connection that I have with Pastor Capitoria that is just like mind blowing. And so it's just like you have not failed me yet. Let's put it that way. You have not failed me yet. And but that just shows the type of connections that you keep. So I thank you because I trust her and it allows me to trust you. And I thank you so much for just showing up and showing out. I just wanted to say that. But just on everything this evening, as you were just speaking, because this has been something that is literally right now that has happened. So in the beginning of February, I was driving to work and all I heard was shut it down. And so I shut down all of my social media. I shut the Facebook, the Instagram, the Snapchat. I never had the TikTok I shut down everything. You name it, I shut it down. I had no access to social media. And that led all the way up to the beginning of, I want to say the beginning of this month. I had logged back into Facebook and I logged back into everything, but I've been kind of just itching back in. But ever since I've really been itching back in, it's like people have been like, Shalia, where's your videos? I miss seeing you on your videos. What you doing? What's going on? Just concerned, but it's just like, I'm just not there yet.
Right.
I'm not there yet. So, but as you are speaking and understanding this, and this is something that, Pastor Capitoria instills in us, we have our morning call, and this is said on multiple occasions, you holding up someone else by not showing up.
Yes.
And it's not for, it's not like I haven't heard it and I don't know it. It's not like this is not something that Pastor Capastoria is like literally reminds us about every week. Like every week, this is a reminder. It's at least says one time a week during our morning calls. But just saying it just now, that's why I was like, God, okay, is it my time? Because it's just like, I just don't want to get back into a moment where you lose yourself. And this is something that Pastor Capastoria have brought up when she's been speaking about these past 2 weeks, about having to find yourself and losing you lose yourself and having to resign yourself after the process. What does it look like? What does it feel like? How did you even get there? Like breaking it down to even the smallest minute things. And that's what it has been. It's like you get so caught up in wanting to help the next person that you forget to help yourself. That you don't understand that you are sitting up here, you speaking underwater, and every time you go to speak again, water is just getting into you. You are literally drowning, and nobody can see that. Nobody can see that you're drowning while you're trying to help them. And say, hey, hold up, let me breathe some life into you. Right? And so I got there. And so just that, but as you're speaking today, I'm like, oh God, is it, I don't know if it's just the way that you broke it down and just said everything. It's just like, God, is this it? Is this my time to get back on here to do this? Because I've come on here and I've spoken a couple of times, but it's like in this space, I'm like, I'm just trying to refine myself, you know? And just as and then just going through the process, like I had mentioned before, coming from 208 pounds now up I'm at today. I'm about to start right. Today I weighed myself and I was at 252, and I'm like, okay, so I lost a couple pounds. All right, great, but it's a point of failure. It's a moment of failure. And then this morning, during our morning call, it says a leader, our brother Lavelle stated, a leader should be willing and okay with failing. And I'm like, ugh. So then it's like that stuck on me today, and then here this goes, and you just explained that. It's just like, oh man, like okay, just be okay. I know that I'm a leader. I'm not a follower. I am a follower of God, of course, and people God, but overall, I know He has put me in a position to lead. And so having that gut check this morning was that you have to be willing and okay with failing. And I was like, I wasn't willing and I wasn't okay, and why? And so that's been the question of my day. That's been my moment of, I know that I'm gonna have to come back to, and before I end the night, that's gonna be my prayer, that my conversation was out, like, what helped me figure out the why, and so therefore I can be better. I want to be better. And so I just, I thank you for saying that. Like I said, I think just to be able to have this opportunity, just to be able to, like I said, the light bulb goes off every week. It goes off every single week. And I just thank you. And I give my mic.
I want to share something with you. An apostle knows this story very well because she was there. She was there. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I did a conference. Obey God, because this is what God told me to do. It was going left or what have you. My partner, which is one of my best friends and one of my twins in the spirit, we ended up parting ways in our friendship for about 6 months because of some things that was going on with that. And I was like, okay, well, since things didn't collapse, I might as well go ahead and end it. But I felt a kick in my belly. And the Lord said to me, He was like, you're still pregnant. And I'm like, how am I pregnant? Did she got the womb? How am I pregnant? This all makes sense to me. And the Lord said to me, you're still pregnant. And He said, he says it takes two to conceive, but it takes one to give birth. And so I went through a lot to bring this conference out. Now I don't want to go into all the details because it was a lot that I went from conception to giving birth, and even after that it had left me about left over like about $11,000 in debt. It took me 3 years to pay it off, and I could not glory in any of what happened at the events because I was focused on maintaining my financial obligation. So it took 3 years for me to get healed, delivered, and set free from it, because anytime I would see a flyer or anything, or a former speaker that was at the conference, I would cringe thinking about the conference. And so after I paid it off and God healed me from it, then now I can glory in what happened. I could, afterwards I was able to listen to some of the speakers and watch the videos, and I was able to really grasp what happened. But the moral of that is that I was in a room. Before I did my room in here last week Friday, talking about failure to attempts. The same topic. And then after I did that, and me and my mom was doing like a little recap of the room, and and I was thanking her for coming on, tag teaming with me, and all that, because that's not something that we do as often, and I was grateful for that opportunity that we were able to do that well. And so we were just kind of recapping over the night, and I was sharing as we were on the phone talking. The prophetic dance team that danced at the conference, I was actually searching for one of our well-known churches in Chicago burned down this recently, and it's actually one of my older cousins has been going there her whole entire life, and that was her church. And I was looking up the word church on fire in Chicago, and when I searched those words, church on fire in Chicago, what pulled up was not that church. What pulled up was a video from my conference, from the dancers that took clips of videos from the phones, and it said church on fire because of the songs that Phil Tarver and them was singing, talking about fire, let your fire fall. That's what they were singing and decreeing in the atmosphere, fire. And I was led to that video right after, and I started to think about the room that we did last week, talking about failure without attempts. And I said, what would have happened if I didn't obey God and do this conference, even though it left me thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars in debt, and lost everything, was homeless, and lost all of my stuff, and had to start all over when I moved down here to Georgia or what have you. And when I said start over, I had 6 bags, and I came down here on the mega bus. On the mega bus from Chicago to Atlanta by faith, and started all over again. And so I said, what would have happened if I didn't attempt? That atmosphere wouldn't have been, And so I thought about that. And so, and I was able to still glory in the video. And I was just like, thank you, God, for allowing me to make that attempt and to get through it and to get over or get to the other side. And so after doing that, posting that post up, I posted up about the failure to attempt, and said everything I just shared with you. I posted it on the post. The next about an hour later, I was invited in with prophetess Bonita was doing a room talking about why are Christians so mean. And in the midst of that atmosphere, God was speaking in this room really, really, really strong. And I could feel the compassion of God and all this stuff that was happening. And it was bringing me to tears concerning that. And whatever I was releasing, I was speaking what God was saying. And I kept getting back channels, like several by people saying, you need to do a leadership conference. You need to do a leadership conference for deliverance for leaders. And it was like back to back to back. Everybody is saying this. And then it was said open mic in the actual room. Like, Apostle, you need to do a conference or a revival or something. And one person in this room said it to me too. She was the first person to say it. So I found that interesting that after I displayed, because at the end of my post, I said, even after all of the stuff that I went through to make this happen, guess what? I'm willing to do another one. Because, sometimes you can be jaded by what has happened because of a situation that you're like, yeah. But I said, open live. I mean, not open live, but on my post that I'm willing to do another one. And within a matter of an hour of posting it, I was requested to do a conference. Like, you need to do this. Like, this is on you strong. And what has been, the focus for a lot of the rooms that either I have been doing or I've been in for the last month and a half is dealing with with leaders for deliverance in some sort of capacity or another. These failure with attempts is talking about people that's doing something that's in some sort of leadership capacity. This is really important for those that are being leaders in entrepreneurship or in their purpose or in ministry. So, so all of this stuff, it was just like, really? So I was not opposed to it at all. I said, God, I know you got a lot on my plate right now, but whenever you want me to do it, I'm game, and I'm submitting to what it is that you want me to do. Of course, I have like some, requests from the Lord. God, look, if we gonna do it, could we like not do it like last time? Could we do it better? That I'm not gonna be in debt. But again, many plans in the man's heart. So, but at the end of the day, regardless of whatever took place, and regardless of the fact that, we had a 2,300 seater place, but we only filled maybe 10% or what have you. The glory of God was there, the presence of God, the dancers, the singers, the word was strong, and all of that, regardless of what it didn't turn out the way my expectation of what God showed me did not happen. But him being in the room was not a question. Him being there and the manifestation of God's presence and the prophetic and all that was there strong. And so that even in itself showed the sense of accomplishment to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and go forward. So I just shared that because sometimes we can go through some stuff and some things ahead and we'd be like, oh, no, I don't think I want to do that. Or I don't want to do that again because we're jaded because of what happened or the hurt, but not realize that, to you, that was a failed attempt, but to God, that was a success. Because out of that, there was people's lives that was delivered and set free. Out of that, one of my good friends accepted to move forward and become the pastor that God made her to be. And she's been pastoring for almost a year now, but if I wouldn't have did it, she would have ran away from the call. So we just, like I said, these things are really important for us to realize of how significant. We don't even realize. We be so focused on us, and what's how it's affecting us, and not realize that you might be coming and inspiring somebody's life or saving somebody's life, be it from destruction or whatever. So it's way bigger than us, way bigger than us. So I just wanted to just share that story real quick because it's really it's really kind of in line with what we're talking about. But anybody else want to jump in? Hold on one second. Let me close out the other rooms really quick. Thank you all on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter for coming on. We are migrating over to what I call family table talk time in Clubhouse, and where we just really just are able to kind of even more let our hair down and just be more clear in what it is that we want to share. And we might not want that to be open source on all platforms. So if you are interested and want to join us in this conversation, you are welcome to come on over into Clubhouse. If you look in the link in the description, you can click that link and it'll allow you to be able to create a profile, or if you don't want to create a profile, you can listen in through the app. Also, for those of you who are on Facebook under the Phwd graphics page, I am informing you that unfortunately this is the last week that I will be doing the live on this page. I went against what I said about 3 months ago that was going to be the last time of doing lives, ministry lives in that on my business page, but this will be the official last. If you want to follow the ministry more and what I'm doing, follow my ministry page under Apostle Aaron Randall. And and you'll be able to follow more of what I'm doing there, or you can follow it on Instagram as well, or just come on over to Clubhouse. Telling you, y'all missing out major for y'all are sleeping on Clubhouse, because God is doing some amazing things. Also, lastly, I want to just share for those what you see on the screen. You see, I'm doing I have missions trip scheduled for 2022, and as you see on your screen, for those of you on the other platforms, you see that I have an $8,000 goal that I have to raise to for missions trips to 5 different countries, 3 different trips for this year. And so looking for people that can partner with me, sow a seed into that. Whatever you sow is really going to help to go to the nations. This is one of my passion projects. This is what a part of the assignment that God has given me in the earth, and I love it. I love it. I'm long overdue. It's been a couple of years since I've been, and I'm going to Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Nigeria, and Pakistan. So looking for those to partner with me to accomplish this assignment. Whatever seed that you sow, it's going to help in that regard. I have 2 means of being able to give, through Cash App and through Facebook. If you look on your right side of your screen, you will see the Cash App link there. It's also on the email address for PayPal. If you need to have another means to be able to send through credit card or debit card, just inbox me or back channel me, and I will get you the appropriate links that you need to be able to sow appropriately. But I do appreciate you helping. If you are interested in seeing more about what I do in the nations, follow me on my ministry pages, either on Facebook or on Instagram, and just scroll through the pictures and you will see hundreds of pictures of the assignment that God has given me to do in the nation. So thank you all on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for being a part of this live. We've been on for 3 hours strong, but we're going to continue on with Family Table Talk here on Clubhouse. And so you all have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you back here on the Something to Think About broadcast here on Facebook, at YouTube and Twitter and Clubhouse on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all have a good rest of your night.